What is up? What is up, y'all? How's it going? Hope that you all are having an okay day today so far. Want a quick hello to everybody. In the YouTube chat, we have some folks, Be Good Now, and Phoebe G says, hi, it's August now. Hell yeah, it's August now. Also, fuck that. And Paul Hack in the YouTube chat. And also, hello on the website chat. I don't actually know when these messages were from today or when they were from Sunday, but Demonia said that they would not be here until Sunday. Decoy Duck is ducking as usual. Dwoozle, EB the Purple says she will be lurking. What's up? Jade, how's it going? Comfy time. Nouvenol, Blue Spectra, Shizukara. Hello, Silent, and the Raccoon Pope. And also in the YouTube chat, we have August and Jay. Hello, what's up, Timerinia? So, I am filled with regret. If there is some really horrendous construction noise, that's part of why I didn't stream on Tuesday, was that there was construction going on, like, on my building. And it's been relatively quiet today, except that quite recently, like, when the music was playing, there was a drill, quite a loud drill happening, and it seemed like it was getting closer and closer. So that's rather unfortunate. Blue Dragon Day. Yes, apparently it's blue time. I also, what did I decide to do today? What was I going to do? Oh yeah, this was vaporwave lighting before. This is what we did before. Why is a gnat here? Get out of here, gnat. Go, shoo. Yeah, these are the colors that I had on last time. So hope that everybody's doing okay. I am Burpee. Hey, Mickey. As always, I appreciate it if you like the stream. That's super helpful. Gets more people in here to hang out with us, because as usual, we're going to ease into it. We're going to hang out, you know? But we have good content today. We have some good stuff to talk about for once. Usually it's all bad news bears, but today we've got some good stuff to talk about. Go away, Nat. You have video essays to produce and tweets to delete. True. I never delete any of my tweets. That's probably not true. I probably have deleted some of my tweets at various times in the past. But okay, so it seems as though the noise has ceased. The horrendous noise. Okay, so that's purple. Ooh, oh my gosh. Check your notification settings, y'all. And consider throwing me $1 on Patreon. Oh my god. We're shilling right at the top of stream. That's just, it's a timed thing. It's automatic. I don't have any control over it. And what's up, Soy Boy? Also in the YouTube chat. How have you all been doing? I have had a horrendous week, but I don't want to jump right into talking about negativity. We're not going to do that. It's not the goal here, all right? The goal is to be good. So I did want to share a creative endeavor that I have embarked on this week. So, you know, while we're checking in at the beginning about like what we're doing to take care of ourselves emotionally and physically, something that I did just for the sake of doing it is I 3D printed an oddish planter. I have this plant that I've had for a while that I think would work. It would be cute at the top of an oddish, you know, with the oddish leaves, whatever. And so I 3D printed this, and then the thing that was creative about it, because I can't design anything 3D print wise, I only print stuff, is I colored it. So I just used Sharpie to do that. I got some Sharpies here, on my desk, and that is what I used to color it. So stylistic choice with the brush strokes. That was a deliberate choice. What's up, Creature of the Fae? Yes, congratulations to Kansas. Hope for other states. What's up, Blue Spectra? Yeah, so it's adorable. And then I printed this one that has a hole in the bottom. You can see it used to be white. I also can't get into that crevice with a Sharpie. I don't know how to do that. I also printed this, which came with it. You can see this is like before kind of cleaning it up. My printer is not perfectly calibrated right now, so it's got all these like strings on it. That was not an intentional part of this, but otherwise it looks really good. And that is going to be where this guy sits. And I'm going to Sharpie that green probably so that there's somewhere for the water to go drain out of it. Super cute. Oh my god, so adorable. And then this is the plant. plant. So it's gonna go like this. And I made it big so that it would grow into it, because this plant is gonna get much bigger, you know? This is a Haworthia, I think, which I believe is a type of succulent. Yeah. So it's a cutie pie. Oh, the Sharpie on there is like very transferable. That is fresh Sharpie on my hands. I don't know how to fix that problem, but you know, that's okay. I didn't have a blue filament to use that would have worked. I mean, maybe, but not really. Anyway, yes, spiky, adorable, super cute. I like it when human rights says Tet. Yes, true. So, that is one thing that I did to like take care of myself emotionally. We have thumping happening. Sweet Jesus. Can you hear that? Okay, it stopped now. Yeah, it's fun. This is the like sensory nightmare kind of. Anyway, and also, what have I been doing to take care of myself, like, physically? I've been really skipping out on the yoga this week. For shame. I don't know that I've done yoga one single time since I've seen you all last. For shame. Is that something that we should employ at all? Or is shame generally something that you want to avoid? We want to do mostly positive affirmations. So feel free to share, you all, what are the things have you been doing to take care of yourselves since the last time I saw you? I was just like, oh yeah, I have artist hands now. I have like I cut my fingers while I was clearing the gross parts of the print off of the inside of the print. So that's why I got a Band-Aid. And then I got like shit all over my fingers. So that's always cool. Yeah, incentivize positive outcomes. Don't shame negative ones. Painted my nails last night. That's exciting. Buying a gun. Hey, you know what? That is something that you could do for your safety. Making sure that you're trained, though. I don't want to encourage any of my folks to get any weapons that they are not trained to use. I drank 1 whole unit of water and I feel good. Sisukara says, now I will need to explain the plant and art when my partner gets back in the room. Yes. I'm doing yoga on Saturday. Also, I played with kinetic sand today in therapy. Ooh, that sounds fun. Faith by Faith. You go to a class to do yoga? I don't. I just put it on my TV in my little living room, and I sit on the floor on my little yoga mat, and I just do it in my living room. Therapy right before stream. That's always good. I'm doing therapy every other week now, so I didn't see her yesterday. I will see her next week. What's up, Christy? Ooh, Jade of Awesome says, I made a slow-cooked red sauce a few days ago, letting it cure in the fridge, and I'm going to build a couple of lasagnas with it. Oh, lasagna sounds really good. What's up, MBJ? CRB Vegas says, I'm down 76 pounds. Wow. That is really impressive. Jay Shepard, I sat on the top of my work van and ate lunch. I felt like a rebel. Hell yeah. Stayed up all night Friday night making pulled pork, says Soy Boy. And all night Saturday night partying and eating the pulled pork sandwiches. Terrible for the body, but good for the soul. Absolutely. I think it's okay to do that sometimes. You know, you got to give yourself permission to just live in the moment sometimes. Raccoon Pope says, I've been way lax with working out since my mom's been in the hospital, but I've been trying to be consistent when drinking enough water. That's, you know, little steps. Little steps. Sometimes all you can do is like the bare fucking minimum. Also did some small bits of working out. Really glad I got to make myself. Yeah, I've also like basically flaked completely out on doing my morning walks, because I guess I've just decided that I don't have a good place to do it. I'm like, I just don't like any of the options that I have for places to go on a walk. Oh well. Anyway, glad to have you all here. Creature of the Face says, listened to my body and took a nap. I did some breathing, calmed myself, reminded myself that I cannot be responsible for the things I can't change and that I can only take one day at a time. That's true. It's helpful to remind yourself of that, you know? We all have our challenges and everything. Hello? Oh yeah, that happened to me once.
Yeah, this broke and shot off with explosive force.
Yeah, that happened to me once. I just forgot to mention. You just switched it out for the other one?
I haven't done anything, it just exploded.
Okay, I just stuck it back on, and then it worked.
It's not going back on.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I guess we need to buy a new shower head. This fucking apartment is just falling apart around me. It's a nightmare. Oh, man. What was I about to say? I was about to say something. I don't know what it was. Ooh, Jamie Hopkins says I've been making lots of pickles. That sounds really good. Is the room you're in just your office or also your bedroom? I have some boundaries. Welcome to the website, by the way, Kenneth. I have some boundaries about my work and my bedroom. This is not my bedroom. This is strictly my office. My working, and a lot of my playtime as well gets spent in this area. But, you know, this is where I play my guitar. It's where I peruse Twitter and compile my stream notes, you know. What's up, Mersh? How's it going? I cannot get the fucking Streamlabs bot to work in the YouTube chat. I apologize, everybody. Do you write songs? No. No, I'm not good enough to do that. Well, you know, I am considering it. I've written poetry and lyrics before. I don't know if I understand music well enough to write any music, though. Thinking about it. Considering it. Hey, how are you, Gorge? Hey, Gorge. Hey, how are you? Hope you all are doing okay. But yeah, if you're in the website chat, if you're on testosterone, if you have an active testosterone prescription, type !recall to get some information because your medicine might be not good. What's up, Spider? How are we doing? Oh my god. Hey, how are you, Gorge? So yeah, we're just vibing. I slapped together my stream notes as per usual. Booked myself a 2-month-old Saint Bernard for next week. Do you foster in Bay? Or is that like you're gonna adopt a Saint Bernard that's 110 pounds? Yeah, so just writing, just writing songs, like I just have other priorities. I'm like trying to catch up on editing. I've decided that I'm basically like uploading on my YouTube channel content from a month ago. So like the news is like from a month ago, but I figure some people probably still haven't seen it. Question mark. And then I'm just going to try to blast through it and get caught up to the present day. That way I'm so accustomed to editing more than I need to that then I will be more than able to keep up with my editing when it's just each week as it goes by. Strategizing to deal with your fucking ADHD brain. I bathe dogs. Okay. Gonna bathe a Saint Bernard. Wow, that's gonna be challenging. Our boy Jammy Dodger did it. He has 1 million subs. That's really exciting. I think I would like to have like 100,000 subscribers. I think that would be really nice. Someday. For now, I will content myself with reaching 30,000 subscribers. That would be really cool. I would like to see number go back up because we've hit 30K twice. Third time's the charm. Maybe we'll stay there and even exceed that, perhaps. Like the videos, please. Like this video while you're watching it on the YouTube page, and then hop over to the website chat. Spider says, just dropping in to say hi. I've procrastinated my scientific poster for a conference that's happening Friday and have work all of tomorrow at my new job. Need to work on that this evening. Yeah, don't stay here. Get your work done. Stay focused. I am proud of you, and I think you can do it. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. The thing is happening Friday, and tomorrow is Friday. Or the thing is happening Saturday, As far as I know, no, Kenneth. As far as I know, people didn't know who I was when I don't think people recognize me in public very often, or like around where I live, as far as I've noticed. It's happened a few times, but usually like in a public place like the Renaissance Festival. I've been recognized at the Renaissance Festival a couple times. And at conventions. I've been recognized at conventions. So basically like festivals and conventions are places which I have met audience members, people who have always been very polite when they see me in public. So that's cool. You should slap bass, says CRB Vegas. My partner plays bass. First of all. Second of all, I could learn to slap on that guitar. My fingers are smaller, and I can like... I could hypothetically do that. That's kind of the goal, I guess, is to be like a fingerstyle and like kind of percussive slap guitarist, but I don't play my guitar often enough to be very good at it. What is the design on your earplugs? It is a pentagram thingy-mabobber. Yes. I'm thinking about switching them out for something else, but mostly because they're very heavy and I feel like I should have silicone ones to sleep in. I don't know if I want to like switch out my earrings every single day though. That's the great thing about having body jewelry like I do, is that you can just like put it in and then leave it there. I always say like, oh, I don't like wearing jewelry. And then people are like, you're literally wearing jewelry. And I'm like, this shit doesn't count. It's not the same. Body jewelry is not the same. Check out Laytar on YouTube for the most bomb chick slap guitar player. Does she play like flamenco style? Laytar. I've written it down. Rain Raven is making pasta. Oh my gosh. We love carbs. Okay, we love carbs. I have definitely been like packing on the carbs lately. You know what I've discovered recently is stretchy high top pants. Like, I usually wear like really low-waisted pants, but I have discovered the joys of like high-waisted shorts and they feel very comfy. Carbs, true. My pants are earrings and pendants? What? Oh, you know what? I should try to find Mitternacht really quick. Cries and diabetes. Oof. I'm gonna end up with diabetes if I'm not careful. Goodness gracious. We're just chilling at the beginning of the stream, y'all. I see we have like 33 people in here right now. That's pretty amazing. We appreciate your likes. Mwah. Usually for the first like 30, 40 minutes, like sometimes even up to an hour at the beginning of stream, we just like talk about whatever, you know? I have stretch marks on my belly from rapid weight gain. Now they're slowly fading away. That's cool. I have stretch marks all over my body from all kinds of weird shit, which is part of what why I might have like a connective tissue disorder, because having like stretch marks in all kinds of weird places is one of the symptoms of that. Did you say my pants and then you said my pants again? Sisukara? I'm so deeply confused. So confused. Okay, do you all want a kitty cat? Do you want to see if I can get a kitty cat really quick? Always make sure there's a certain percentage of elastic in your clothes. True. Ugh, okay, hold on. There's a chungus. There's a chungus among us. Look at him. He's so chungy. Yeah? He is receiving so much more attention lately. Yeah? Are you a kitty? Meow. Eeh. Oh my god, your belly is so big. Hello, sir. Is your cat friendly with other people? Yeah. He's a little bit skittish, but he's friendly. He's not like an I'm gonna swipe at you kind of cat. Definitely. Oh my god. Hello, baby. Okay. Thank you. He's a good sport. Okay. Characterdis, welcome in. Yeah, so that's Mitternacht. He is a giant baby. Oh my gosh. He looks just like mine. Yeah. Yours has the tiny little white tuft right here. And his whiskers are starting to turn white. Yeah, I've never had cats that are very aggressive. All of my cats are pliant babies. Like, of the three, the two who've passed away were like bottle fed. Genuinely bottle fed. So yeah, and it's only a few hairs, Jay. Yeah, it's not like a patch. It's like 8 individual hairs right here. Him big boy. Big fat cat. So, yeah. Well, his name is Lucifer. That's funny, Jay, because I don't know if you were, are you a relatively new person here? I think you might be, because my cat, who just passed away on July 7th, was called Lucifer. But he was a calico. Or not really calico. He was like, parts of him were like tabby, but parts of him were white. Your hairstyle looks straight out of Vikings, and I love it. Oh, so speaking of my hair, I like you all at the last stream that we were at. I think it was Sunday's stream, if I remember correctly. You all were like, I want to see what you look like with a nose ring on, you know? So I did this, right? And I had been thinking this prior to this, but this really tied it in. I was like, I really kind of wish that I could put my hair in a way that would resemble some of the the hairstyles of the trolls in World of Warcraft, because I used to play World of Warcraft, and when I was on the Horde side, I had my druid, right? Excuse me. And I think that I made my troll druid right when they made it so that trolls could be druids. Because originally it was only the Tauren, the bull people, cow bull people. Wow, I have so much notes today. I fucking forgot. I hadn't looked at the totality of my notes to read. Oh my god, there's a lot to go through today. I'm gonna try to pull up a picture. I don't know if I'll get a comprehensive photo. That's kind of what I want, though. Or maybe I'm just looking for a specific do. Because, I had a troll druid, and she was based, and I spent a lot of time in my owl form, but I also had... I also spent a decent amount of time out of owl form, so let's just see. I have marker on my hands. Yes, I also have marker on my hands from painting this thing. I miss Lucifer too, Faith by Faith. Yeah, it's sad. I still have a cry about it every day or two, every other day or so. Let's see. All of these suck. I feel like at some point there must have been a more comprehensive photo of the different hairstyles available for for trolls. Hold on. Well, this is the one I was looking for, so maybe I'll just content myself with this instead of a comprehensive photo. This was the hairstyle that I had on my druid for the longest time, and I realize it doesn't show you the back, but I like this raised thing happening in the front, and I like that she has multiple braids going on. I kind of wish that I want to do a high, some kind of high braid in the middle. But also I don't want to spend any fucking time on my hair at all. This is literally the braid that I put my hair in before I went to bed last night. All the results are from that stupid kids film Trolls. Shake my head. I specifically typed WoW in the results, so it got the World of Warcraft related results. Mitternacht. Hey, stop being weird. What a fucking weirdo. Lucifer got the VIP ticket to Hell's Party. I know. He went to go rule that place with an iron fist. Bad Avatar movie hair. Kind of, yeah. I guess it's a little bit like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just like the idea of it being like cool looking, like and like give it some texture, because usually it just looks kind of flat. I don't know. I have a friend who does braiding at the Renaissance Festival, and sometimes they do my hair for free. So I might be like, hello, will you braid my hair really quick? And like maybe I'll give you some like general vibes, but let you make the stylistic choice, because that's generally how it goes. Hey, we're losing people talking about fucking hair. Yes. Might just produce especially impressive kids movie Trolls. True. Can I get the bottom surgery for bad Avatar movie hair bits? You want like the tentacle hair? What was Mitternacht doing that was weird? Oh, just like when he is clean, like, you know, when after they get done with the cat box, they like start scratching at all kinds of stuff in the immediate area of the cat box. He was doing that. And it's like, stop. Not necessary for you to like scratch the sides of the area around the box and stuff, you know. I haven't decided if I think that this is something that I would want or not. I haven't decided. And I feel like it's hardly even visible with the way that I have my lighting and stuff on camera. I have to like tilt my head back or I can't even see it. Gosh. So, we're at 6:30. It's not that far in, but I also feel like I guess I haven't really filled you in on all the crazy stupid shit that I had to deal with this week. Like there's construction happening on/in my building. I'm kind of unsure on what specifically they're doing. But there's construction noise happening, and it started on Tuesday. And then yesterday, I don't know how this happened. Well, first of all, yesterday they started doing shit at 3:30 in the morning. That's not a fucking joke. The first day they started at like 7 a.m., which is indeed before we usually wake up, but not too far. But then yesterday they started at literally 3:30 a.m. just doing like hammering on the side of the building or whatever the fuck they're doing. And then they kind of stopped so we could sleep a little bit more, I guess. So that sucked. But then something that they were doing yesterday, like, I don't know, like, I mean, it rained, so I don't know if the rain like came through or if a pipe busted or something, but there was inappropriate water coming through my fucking ceiling in my apartment. Yeah, so that was a whole fucking thing for me to deal with. I have a rat that acts strange. When the fan blows toward her cage, she rolls over on her back and sticks her feet up in the air. Oh my gosh, that sounds adorable. It does sound like scary though. You would look over at the rat and be like, oh my god, are you dead? How about a nose stud? Do you mean just like one on the left or the right? Because I don't know. Because the thing about my nose is that it's crooked. So I don't, I haven't figured, like, so you see me from, I think you all see me from the good side. My nose is crooked. Which direction does it go? I can't remember. So I don't know which side should get a stud or if I should just get a stud on both sides. I don't know. But yeah, so I guess like I don't want to bitch too much, but I have not slept very well this week and I've been like super hecka mega stressed. And oh yeah, my AC went out on Tuesday. That was another thing. Something about the construction made the AC stop working in the afternoon. So it was too warm and they were still doing construction up until like 7:30 on Tuesday. So that was interfering with our stream time. Anyway, I'm not going to bitch too much about that. Oh my God, my ear. Anyway, I think it's time to do a little bit of celebration. Maybe to celebrate by looking at some stuff about winning the vote here. Oh, yep, I don't really need to look at the troll hairstyles anymore. What's up? Oh, it's over here. You want it? I just want the bottom one. Okay, here you go. Oh my gosh. So, let me open my links here. Get ready to talk about winning this mother effing vote. Thank you. Ah. All right, yeah, I'm psyched. I'm gonna drink a little bit more water, and then we'll talk about this vote. Hail, hydrate. Okay. Yeah, mother effing vote. Oh, your rat angel is a sweetheart. Well, she's well named then. Good, good. I like to drink water out of a jar because a jar has a low center of gravity and it's harder to knock over. That tells you what my priorities are while sitting at my desk. I guess I could technically put it on this other table over here too. So, success in Kansas, okay? This is where I live. This is where I'm from. And I'm happy to report that we recently had the opportunity to vote on whether or not to keep abortion legal here. Because back in, I think, 2019, we had a Supreme Court decision, like a Kansas Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, looked at our Constitution and determined that a abortion restricting bill was unconstitutional because the way that our Constitution is written includes the included right of bodily autonomy. So like in Kansas, since 2019, it has been a constitutional right to have an abortion, which kind of like puts an end to a lot of the restrictive legislation that has a tendency to restrict people's access to abortion. So what the conservatives were trying to do, what they were trying to do, and what they failed at, what we succeeded in preventing them from doing, was they wanted to amend the Constitution with this. They wrote up this amendment, like kind of like a law passing through the legislative branch, and it was, the purpose of it was called like the Value Them Both Amendment. And the whole premise of it was to make it possible to perhaps implement a ban. So a lot of the political rhetoric about it was like, stop the ban, stop the ban, stop the ban. That was the idea. Because absolutely, I mean, there's plenty of conservatives here, plenty of conservatives in our government in this state of Kansas. So they were fully able, if they wanted to, then pass the legislation. So if they had to put this amendment to the vote, however. And resoundingly, Kansans said no to the constitutional amendment. They said no. They said, we want to value choice. We don't want this bullshit amendment to pass. I went out and voted. My partner and I went out and voted. Voting early is always really good to do, in my personal opinion, because I'm still nervous about COVID and I don't want to really be around huge crowds of people. If you have a place near you that's like open on a Saturday, that can be really useful. Like get there as soon as they open on a Saturday morning, whenever you have primaries or any other kind of vote going on in your area. Very good stuff. So I guess I wanted to just kind of like take a look at some of the stuff about this. So, whoa, okay, come on, Casey Starr. Don't do this to me with the advertisements here. The no prevails. Kansas votes to protect abortion rights in state constitution. So basically, like, if you need an abortion in your state and you can't get one there, you can get one in Kansas. Like, we are going to be a place where it is constitutionally protected. So I think the only way for that to be superseded is if a federal ban passes. So appreciate your likes on the video to celebrate. So from the Kansas City Star, this is the first ballot test of abortion rights in a post-Roe America. This is significant because it's the first time since Roe has fallen that any voters in our country have been able to demonstrate their will in terms of protecting abortion rights. So Kansas voters turned out in historic numbers. Oh my God, y'all. So just like be aware, I may cry during this segment because apparently I'm like a little bit emotional today. I don't know. And it feels big because listen, I was prepared to lose. There was like no part of me that thought there was a chance in hell that we were going to win this vote. So I'm like still not really fully absorbed. Kind of still surprised. And this week has been so shitty that I'm having a hard time like balancing this like good news with like bad news and shit happening in my life, you know? And all the rest of the bad news happening in the country and the world, climate change and extinction are on their way, you know. Anyway, so moving forward, overwhelmingly rejected that constitutional amendment, and the Associated Press called the race at 9:40 p.m. on Tuesday. The no campaign led 59% to 41%. That's an almost 20-point lead. That is an insane amount of people. Like, that is a crazy, crazy, crazy number of people. Let's see. It wasn't just the urban counties like the Democratic-leaning Wyandotte County. That's near Kansas City, Kansas. So it's a more liberal kind of area there. But then rural counties, like several rural counties voted no by significant margins. So even out in the country, rural counties, there were people voting for abortion rights. Very good stuff. Yes, the vote upholds the Supreme Court ruling, which was in response to an attempt to ban a second trimester abortion procedure. There was it turned out with a wide swath of no voters, despite the amendment's placement. So this is rather interesting. It was part of why it's so significant that so many people turned out to vote here is that this was what's normally a really small election. It's one thing, you know, if there's a really big issue in your state and they really actually cared to have as many people as possible vote on it, they would have you vote at the same time as some other big election. Like if you're voting for the president, you might also like tee it up so that at the same time that most everybody who is ever going to vote is there to vote has this issue on their ballot to look at, to consider, right? So on a primary, it's usually there's just less turnout because first of all, like, so a primary can only be participated in by registered like Democrats and Republicans, you know, like, you know, my partner is like an unaffiliated voter and he voted in this primary because there was this amendment, but he didn't have anything else on his thing. I don't think like there wasn't any other issues on his ballot. On my ballot, because I'm registered as a Democrat, I also voted for like Senate shit, you know. But yeah, so this was an election where it was kind of expected that there wouldn't be that many people there, and the number of people that turned out was kind of astounding. Let's continue to browse through here and see if there's anything else in particular that I wanted to look at here in this. In a statement after the race, the Value Them Both coalition, which is the people who are anti-abortion, blamed their loss on, quote, an onslaught of misinformation from radical left organizations spread by, quote, the mainstream media. The coalition blocked several media outlets from their election night watch party, including the KC Star and the Wichita Eagle. Rough. While the outcome is not what we hoped, our movement and campaign have proven our resolve and commitment. We will not abandon women and babies. I don't know what happened to my voice while I was reading that, but I just thought it was right to make that like a dumb jock voice, I guess. Anyhow, let's see. As Kansas neighbors, Oklahoma and Missouri promptly banned abortion and then struggled through confusion about the laws, forces on both sides of the issue in Kansas dove into one of the most expensive ballot initiate campaigns in state history. So yeah, this was very contentious. There were signs fucking everywhere. Yeah, so I wanted to also look at this, just the raw numbers. Like, let's just take a quick look at these raw numbers here. So yeah, ultimately, I guess we're still at only 95% reported. I'm not sure what that remaining 5% is, or if that's going to change the numbers at all at any point. So there were reported 900,000 votes total on this amendment specifically, which is like almost 1 million voters. There, listen, like almost 1 million vote. Listen, almost 1 million voters turned out. There are like 2.2 million adults in Kansas, I think. What was this that I was looking at? I was looking at this population data as well, and like looking at this population data. Yeah. Check out this population data. I'm not sure. Oh yeah. So this is from 2022. There are 2.2 million adults, 460,000 of whom are seniors in Kansas. So if fucking 900,000 people turned out to vote, that's legitimately almost half the adult population, which is like insane. It really shows good things for potential future votes that are going to happen. So I also kind of wanted to draw some attention. It's not a huge deal, to this map, just kind of like looking at this map, because you see like in western Kansas, obviously all of these people out here voted for the amendment. They wanted to restrict abortion access, right? And then over here, like Wichita is a big city. Topeka is obviously a big city. And then you have Kansas City over here. I happened to hover over Wyandotte County, which is what was mentioned in that article there. All of these ones came out more on the yes side. And I thought it was just interesting to point out that, very similarly to how it works in our country, we tend to find that the more population dense places are more liberal leaning, like more progressive leaning. Because if you look at these two maps, like this chunk of area and then this chunk of area being the progressive vote, having voted against this restriction on abortion access. And then obviously this is like the high population dense area part of Kansas. And then this is like the Wichita area. Thank you, Baphomet. I appreciate that compliment. So yeah, I just thought that this was like interesting data to look at, looking at population growth. And like you can see by county, which counties voted the most overwhelmingly in favor or against. And yeah, we did pretty good. I'm really proud of Kansas, and my betting situation is not really one. I don't have like a guest room, so I cannot offer you a place to stay if you're from somewhere else and you need to come to Kansas. But, if you need someone to show you like a good place to eat, I could potentially help with that, Yeah, we are surprisingly, I think that mostly this was like, first of all, unaffiliated voters turned out for this. I think a lot of it was unaffiliated voters. I haven't looked at that particular demographic breakdown, but yeah. I totally think I had something else I was in the middle of saying, and I have no idea what it was. Yeah, Franklin County showed up. True. I think it would be really cool, if kind of improbable, but I think it would be really cool if after this, Kansas became like a purple state. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think it would be really cool if it did, because we have just demonstrated by a margin of 18 points. I guess it's an 18-point margin, the difference between 41 and 59%. So by an 18-point margin, we could turn Kansas blue. Like, we could do that. If 500,000 progressive voters came out every time, and like I have got to imagine, it's wild to me that only 370,000 or so people turned out to vote yes. But yeah, I mean, maybe this is just one of those issues that it doesn't matter as much, the party lines. Purple Kansas and Purple Virginia. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Purple Kansas. But what if it was purple though? I mean, for real, like what if it just fucking straight up flipped blue? That's not super likely, but like our governor is a Democrat, I believe. Like Laura Kelly, I believe, is a Democrat. And that's significant because like earlier this year, they tried to pass anti-trans legislation to block trans kids from playing sports in fucking high school and college. And she voted against it. She vetoed it. And then they didn't have the veto proof majority in whatever in order to get past her veto. So because we have a Democratic governor, we ended up maintaining our rights to participation in sports. Damn, it feels good to be a Kansan. Cautiously. Yeah, cautiously. Bless the governor. Honestly, it's wild. Like when I was younger, we had Kathleen Sebelius, I think that was her name, as our governor. And then we had fucking Brownback immediately after. So we had a Democratic governor and then a fucking horrendous Republican governor and then Laura Kelly. So yeah, Brownback. Oh man, Brownback really stripped back our education. Yeah, it was a fucking nightmare scenario. And it's still unfortunate how much of the state is so deeply red. But honestly, like maybe Kansas City is fucking big enough for there to be enough liberals there, you know? It's yeah, honestly, Caratidis, that's true. It's also just nice to have Kansas show up in the news for a good reason for once. Just imagine. Yes. So rock out with your cocks out, Kansas. We did it. High five. Congratulations. I'm really chuffed. I'm really chuffed about that. The Coke experiment, you can be the new Illinois. What about Illinois? I know, like, the only thing I know about Illinois is that I know people there who are like, wow, it's really cool how weed is legal here now. And I'm like, wow, can't relate. You know? Illinois, but with an easier to remember capital. What is the capital of Illinois? It's not Chicago. That's not the capital of Illinois. I don't know what it is. Is it just Springfield? How many states have the capital of Springfield? Because I know a lot of states have a Springfield. How many states is that the capital? Is Illinois the only one? Blue in the YouTube chat, what's up? Brownback was so awful. In the same vein as Rauner, he really set back Illinois. Yeah. It's good to just take a breath and enjoy a win. Yeah, listen, I vacillate wildly between pronouncing things. Sometimes it's going to be Illinois, sometimes it's going to be Illinois. You can't stop me. Can't stop, won't stop, keeping it old school. So cool. Arkansas, true. I mean, I'm also the kind of person who will say chipotle sometimes. I'm like, hey, do you want some chipotle? Man, I would love some chipotle. I'm actually not at all in the mood for chipotle right now. I am going to eat some fucking raw avocado later tonight, though. It's going to be delicious. So yummy. Oh, so I wanted to give you a quick reminder. I'm losing people. How, like, listen. Come on. Losing people. I was going to remind you really quick about something. I haven't gotten around to doing it yet myself, you know. This link is a link for you to go look at the proposed changes to Title IX, which is what protects all kinds of protected classes in schools. They're proposing to make a change specifically to add, they're making changes specifically to add gender identity and sexual orientation to sex discrimination. They're expanding the definition of sex discrimination under Title IX. So what I want you to do is go over here to this green button. If you're colorblind, I'm sorry. That was racist of me. Submit a formal comment. You have 39 days. Keep the link open for after a stream today or later this week. You know, make time to do this. You have until September 12th to do this. Apparently, a lot of TERFs have been responding to this, so we need to submit some formal comments. Look at this. There's 29,000 public comments on it right now, and probably a lot of those are really fucking horrendously transphobic. So please go add your comment in the affirmative. What you want to go do is say, I think that this change is a good idea. Please do it. I support this. Please. Yes. Thank you, sir. May I have another, sir? That's what you want to do. Appreciate that. Thank you. We're going to start mobilizing. Listen. I don't know how many of you were here when we made this announcement recently, but myself and several other like trans streamers and perhaps even eventually some like more and more people, bigger streamers outside of the direct circle of trans streamers, we are all going to politically organize. What we are going to do is start making our voice heard in specific elections in the United States. And we're going to show them that this block is a significant voting block. We're going to show them that we have the ability to impact and swing elections. You have the power and the ability to impact and swing elections, as demonstrated, as very fucking thoroughly demonstrated. We can't necessarily do anything about the Electoral College, right? But your governor races, your Senate races, your local like voting on amendments and local ordinances and stuff like that, all of that shit is within your purview. So we're going to mobilize this voting block. We are establishing a voting block of like trans supportive leftists, essentially. So look forward to more specific information about that next week on Thursday. Next week on Thursday's stream, we're going to be doing a stream with some other great folks and having our first like conversation about this with those people. So look forward to that. I want you all to feel somewhat empowered. I don't want you to feel like voting is the only thing that you can do, but I do think that it is still important. So long as this government exists, voting still matters. If for no other reason, then at some point they are going to throw out a legitimate election and you have to be there so you can say, no, I didn't vote that way. And all these people I'm talking to didn't vote that way. None of those people actually voted that way. They've overturned a legitimate election. This is fascism, revolution. You have to participate in elections in order to get to that point, you know? If they just win a normal election, that's not good. Yeah, no, listen, Zirozix, I agree with you so much. The Electoral College is bullshit. I hate the Electoral College as a Kansan, as a leftist Kansan, because I don't have a vote for president. And frankly, I don't really have a vote for, our Senate seats either, but that's not necessarily the same situation. But no, like my vote for president doesn't count for anything. And it's very frustrating. Blue would like to know, what is my opinion on Vosh? He's been working on some canvassing project, sort of similar to what you're talking about now. I think that Vosh might be working on the same canvassing project. I think Vosh is working on the same, his aspect of it is a little bit different than what we're going to be doing. But as far as I know, Vosh's community is involved in what we're doing. So I need to make a Discord, I need to make a bot thing in our chat here so that you all can join the... Oh shit, I totally missed. Jade of Awesome donated $25. Happy August. Thank you. Holy shit, I'm so sorry. I was so distracted reading. And I guess I don't have this noise up very loud. Let me make the noises louder so that I can hear it next time. Oh my gosh, thank you, Jade of Awesome. And I'm gonna update this thingy. First dono of the month. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Last month sucked ass. But I'm hoping that things will be a little bit easier this month. I have one fewer cat to take care of, so hopefully it'll be less expensive to keep all of us alive and going. But I guess to actually answer the question of what is my opinion of Vosh, generally I have a positive opinion of Vosh. I have disagreed with some of his individual takes, but I generally I find that when other people are like misconstruing something that Vosh is saying, I'm usually finding myself thinking like, I don't think that's what he was saying at all. And I also think that I am more correct about my interpretation of this. And then usually it turns out later that I was correct in my interpretation of whatever was going on. Like latest Vosh controversy, turns out he wasn't saying what people thought he was saying or what people were misconstruing him as saying. So generally a positive experience. Do I consider Vosh a friend? No, mostly because I feel like it would be presumptuous, but we're friendly. He always says hello when I drop by in the chat, so we're certainly friendly. And he answered some of my questions when I was asking for advice when I was first starting to stream regularly. So yeah, I mean, he's always been kind to me. His community is always really kind to me. I know that sometimes his community is a little bit crazy toward other people that he disagrees with. And sometimes people feel like that gets weaponized disproportionately against trans people who disagree with him. Obviously, I've never experienced that because I generally agree with him. So I possibly have a biased opinion. But yes, I like him. He's cool. I would be friends with him. I'm going to be moving to that area. I really don't know what the timeline is going to be. I would really like to be living in Washington before my birthday, which is in March. I don't know if that's going to happen because of money, but it would be ideal. And then if I live near Seattle, I would like to, potentially hang out with all kinds of streamers who live up there. Like, it would be cool to hang out with Demon Mama sometimes. I have a friend up there. Silent, what's up? I have a friend who lives up there who I would like to visit with. And like Xander Hall is going to live up there eventually, so it would be cool. He's very cancelable. Yeah, he is very cancelable. Same deal with ContraPoints. Some people just love to take pot shots. I feel like I'm pretty cancelable too, but I'm also not big enough to get canceled. Like, this is my tactic. I'm like, I just have to be as problematic as I'm going to be right out the gate, right? So like, yes, sometimes I use slurs. Sometimes I use slurs inappropriately. I like Natalie Wynn and I like Vosh, and I'm okay with saying that I like those people, even though they're controversial figures. And that alone, like all of like that very basic facts of like, I refuse to like cut people off for being problematic. Like that on its own has me like blocked by people who are way more like, I consider myself a former SJW, and I think that also would be cancel worthy. I feel like if you have a big enough audience, you can afford to get canceled for better or worse. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that I have limited myself. Like, I would really love for this to not be the case. So really would love to be proved wrong, and you all can help prove me wrong on this. But what I imagine I have done is I have the tranny voice, and people can't tell what gender I am. People intentionally try to misgender me. Either way, they fail both ways. Like some people are like, wow, look at this girl with a weird voice. And some people are like, you'll never be a woman. Like it goes both ways. Which means that there isn't a part of the mainstream viewership that is going to permanently be alienated from my content. Like there are plenty of people out there who are going to be so distracted by my physical appearance and the way that I sound and stuff like that, that they are not going to be interested in my content. So I'm limited in that way. And what I talk about, like a lot of mainstream audience members are not going to be interested in the type of stuff that I talk about as well. And then within the small community of like transgender people, like leftists, atheists, like any of the stuff that I talk about, I've also limited my audience within that group by refusing to be like, by refusing to do this performative woke bullshit anymore. Like my refusal to participate in that, and my willingness to be like, I like all kinds of different people, you know? Like, I don't think that the kind of people who are fans of like Sophie from Mars, or Curio, or like Thought Slime, I don't think any of those people are going to be willing to hang up their hang-ups in order to engage with me, even though I politically agree with them on most things. But because of my affiliation with these like problematic figures, I'm barred to some extent, you know? You're a fan of those people. That's cool, NBJ. I'm glad that it's possible for you to like some folks from opposing areas. But like, yeah, the simple fact of my kind of mostly uncritical support of problematic figures is going to be limiting to my career. Like I'm not going to make as much money as perhaps I like. Basically, I kind of imagine that if I were to pander more, I would be more viewable. Does that make sense? I love Soph's Monster Men series. The only thing I really watched from Sophie was like the BPD video and the video that their partner did about abortion representation, you know? And they talked about BoJack Horseman in that episode. I feel like Thought Slime's content comes off as like juvenile, that or just really condescending, maybe both. I really haven't watched a lot of Thought Slime's stuff in general, but also not for a long time. Would you say that being an SJW is a bad thing? So not if the way that it originally was used, like I think SJW was originally used toward anyone who like believed in non-binary genders, or like, so even if I didn't agree with other things about being an SJW, that alone is enough to make people lump you in with them, right? So originally it was mostly just a criticism of your belief system, I thought, which is why I was okay with calling myself that for such a long time. But now I kind of associate it with I just associate it with a series of behaviors that I think are really toxic, like puritanical communities, like thought policing, like the inability to actually flesh out and have public discussions about like, why is this considered cultural appropriation but this isn't, or like I think my most spicy meme was like, if I like, why do we think that any genetic manipulation is like eugenics, you know? Like if, you know, I think my example at the time was like, if I have like depression that's built into my brain, why would it be bad to like genetically prevent that if it's something that I could pass on to my child, you know? Like just trying to understand what people were talking about and where people were coming from. Like I got kicked out of a polyamory group for that, for just asking the question of like, why is that a bad concept? Like, why would it be bad if I didn't want to genetically pass on my depression, or insert issue here, you know? Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to get into it right now. I have evolved opinions about it at this point. Like I think differently, or well, rather at the time I didn't have much of an opinion, but now I have more of an opinion, but I don't want to get into it today. But like my point is, that's why I think being an SJW is bad. Like, why was someone wanting to just cut me out of communities rather than have a conversation or explain what they were thinking about, you know? Like I don't appreciate that. And here's the thing. I originally came from the skeptic community. I was like in the atheist skeptic community. So I want to ask questions and I want to be curious and I want to be skeptical. And that has led to some friction with other social groups. Like now that I'm dealing with more political content all the time, it's frustrating to deal with people who aren't viewing things through that lens of skepticism and everything. So, yeah, mostly I don't think that SJWs are good in the sense that their group dynamics are really toxic and discourage people from like learning and growing and asking questions. Like they mostly rely on social punishment in order to police their community. Yeah, so excuse me, I'm behind on the stream because of low data, but people trying to misgender me but being unsure of what I am would give me such gender euphoria. I swear I'm a buzz my head entirely. Creature of the Fae, it's like when they do it correctly, like when they hit my birth gender, it doesn't even fucking hit the same anymore because I'm like, you're just fucking guessing as much as the people who say I'll never be a woman, you know? It depends on how I'm dressed. Like if I were to take my hair down right now and look really feminine with this like really swooping low cut shirt and, you know, my hair all down and pretty, there will be people in the comments who are like, okay, dude. And I can tell the difference. But yeah, they just, whichever my gender presentation is, they kind of just take the opposite and start calling me the opposite of whatever I look like at the moment. Like if I look like a girl, they're going to call me a man. If I look like a guy, they're going to call me a woman. You know, it's pretty much just how it goes. So it really doesn't hit the same anymore. I don't care about being misgendered as much. It feels good. 13 years. It took 13 years of me being trans to get to this point where I earnestly don't care about most misgenderings. There's something about taking on the pronouns its that make you just go like, oh, I don't care about any of this anymore. I mean, that's kind of what motivates you to start using its is when you're like, I don't care about any of this anymore. I don't know who Quinn Burkholz is, or at least I have never heard the name that I can remember. It's true, Mersh. I agree. I'm good looking whichever way. It's true. I had a chat with some friends earlier about this exact topic. I suspect many leftists are terrified of critically engaging with their own belief systems beyond quippy Twitter posts and talking points because they're afraid of analyzing where they would be if they hadn't been radicalized to the left. I'm not scared to admit I'd have been a liberal had I been more lucky in life. I used to be a liberal. I used to be one of those people who was like, wow, I don't actually know how I feel about being violent at protests or whatever, like, you know, but now I feel very differently than I used to. Later, Mickey, have a good night. A few years ago, I was with Occupy DC yelling at CPAC. Eventually, some of us on both sides were talking to each other on non-political topics, so it was really interesting. Good stuff. Same with they, them. It feels like, let's see how people refer to me today. I mean, Finn, I've been using they, them pronouns for like 10 years. And it was only recently that I actually stopped caring so much, but also I'm just like very deep in my transition at this point as well. I watched Sophie's BBC protest speech. I'm not sure if I ended up watching that. I saw it fly by on Twitter. I think what I ended up... I still follow Sophie from Mars, as far as I'm aware. What I muted her for what I muted them for was they kept screenshotting fucking Peter Coffin tweets into my timeline. And I was like, here's the thing. Peter blocked me. Like, I unfollowed Peter Coffin and then Peter blocked me. And I don't want to see fucking Peter Coffin tweets on my timeline. And Sophie from Mars will not shut the fuck up about Peter Coffin. And I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I unfollowed. Or no, not unfollowed. I just muted. So I still follow them, but I don't see any of their tweets anymore because Sophie just needs to talk about Peter Coffin, and I don't want to hear about it at all. Oh, yeah. So, oh, God. Baphomet, hold on, y'all. I will talk about the Lockheed discourse, okay? Jesus. Should I record a segment? Should I do a segment about this? No, I'm not doing a segment. I'm not gonna fucking pull up the tweets and do a formal thing and put it on the channel. I'm absolutely not doing that. I will talk about it on stream where it's transient, and if you want to see it later, you have to go all the way over to the VOD channel and wait 3 weeks for me to upload because I take fucking forever. I think I have a face to the name Peter Coffin. They look like a man with a salt and pepper beard that's more salt than pepper over time. Fair? At best, it's a drama segment. At worst, it's paying too much attention to a harassment campaign. Yeah, I'm going to finish drinking this beer and then go open a new one, and then we'll talk about the Lockheed Martin shit, okay? Honestly, your gender goals for me right now, TBH, I appreciate that, Finn. That is a deep compliment. When people tell me that I'm transition goals or like voice goals, that makes me feel really good. Because I feel really comfortable with where I am in my transition. Yeah, too much of the wrong kind of attention. I don't want to bring that in. Quinn Burkholes is a YouTuber. They have 11K subscribers. They consider themselves an SJW, but are actually one of the nicest people ever, willing to have a nice debate with people they disagree with, and when people are being bigoted, they just laugh and say they're willing to try and reason with them. Listen, Kenneth, like, I only just stopped identifying as an SJW, like, basically when I kicked up my streaming career, I guess, is like right around the time that evolution finally happened. So it's not like I refuse to talk to SJWs, and I think that as a whole, like, I think it's possible to be affiliated with that group and not be engaging in those toxic behaviors, right? I just felt like I mostly only identified as an SJW for so long because of that whole, like, people are criticizing me for my beliefs. Like, people are criticizing me for being politically progressive and socially open to transness, I guess. So I wanted to reclaim that and be like, it's not a bad thing. Like, why do you think it's a bad thing to fight for social justice? I think it's a good thing, which is why I stuck with it. And it was just, I just have no community there anymore. I have no community within the SJW community anymore. Like, I just don't, I'm not comfortable in that, like, environment with that group of people anymore. Be good now. I don't know why you are mentioning this, but I appreciate you bringing it up. Xander Hall. Are you talking about Xan? They target Xan with a whole bunch of made up shit. Why did you bring that up? I did catch up a little bit on that whole thing. I will say my feeling about that situation was correct. I had a feeling about that situation, and I turned out to be correct. And I think it's really unfortunate that Xander Hall keeps getting, like, false mass flagged. But I think Team YouTube did respond to him on Twitter, and they were like, hey, we will talk about this false flag on your account that he's temporarily suspended from YouTube. So he's streaming on Twitch right now. Still on the website, xanderhall.com, I think. Same website format as mine. Oh my God, do you love the website? I'm in love with the website. Probably still needs some improvement, but working on it. So yeah, I'm just like, imagine getting out of a situation where your girlfriend was just, like, stealing money from you on a literal daily basis and hadn't paid your rent for 8 months. And then having a bunch of people, like, think that actually you are the one who was the shitty abusive boyfriend in that situation, and then, like, reporting your video to get your livelihood taken away. Like, that's a nightmare scenario, and I'm really upset on his behalf. I don't want to get into it too much because this is one of those weird things where I'm like, I do have a really strong opinion about this, but I also know that it's a personal drama and that people will sometimes lose respect for streamers for getting too involved in personal drama. So this is a situation where I don't want to, like, get too involved, but, like, I just think that Xan is a 22-year-old who came from a shitty environment in Florida with his parents and then was in an abusive and exploitative relationship for, like, 2 years and basically has had no opportunity to catch his breath and just learn how to be a person. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think that he is not deserving of most of the shit that he's gotten, including the false allegations about having, like, a fucking sex cult. So, yeah. Worth keeping in mind as well, Baphomet says that a pattern of behavior in the SJW types that is very concerning is a habit of forming parasocial relationships and taking hard stances on very interpersonal conflicts they're not personally involved with. I think Lindsay Ellis put that really well in her big video about her cancellation, where she was like, people form this parasocial relationship with you, and then when you have an opinion that they disagree with, they take it as like you're their friend and they are personally upset that you have somehow like transgressed that relationship. Like you have broken the friendship from their perspective. So they're coming at you with this emotional, like, I can't believe you would do this. Like, I trusted you. I believed in you. I had faith in you. And it's like, I don't fucking know who you are. So this reaction that you're having is completely inappropriate. But it's really hard to communicate that. You're just mostly being like inundated. Yeah, I agree, Zirzyx. I wish people would be more mindful before they take action. Oh shit, Andrew, I was about 2.5 years into transition before I had to stop due to medical and support problems. One day I want to try again, but with more supportive people. I believe in you, Andrew. I'm really sorry to hear that. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, I hope that you can, like, be around people who are more supportive. If you say something that personally offends someone who's formed an unhealthy personal relationship with you, they feel personally betrayed. Exactly. Yeah. It's really hard to strike a balance as a creator, because I've said this before, like, I am lonely a lot of the time, and this is a social interaction where I am getting something social out of it. And there are some ways in which I want to exploit this. Like, I have said, and I will probably continue to say, that I am personally invested in your well-being. Like, I want you to drink water. I want you to eat well. I want you to exercise. I want you to make whatever plans you need to protect yourself. You know, like, I will weaponize that shit because I think that's a social good. What I don't want to do is for that relationship to turn into something where I'm like, and also, in exchange for these life tips, would you, my dear friend, please drop a dono? You know, I'm not, you know, that's the part where it becomes inappropriate, is where you start exploiting the one-sidedness of that relationship for personal gain and value and everything. Does anybody call you Xander as a nickname? No. No. I have used it before in some work environments, but that was it. Only at work. Xander is very much a, I'm trying to pretend to be, like, not trans. Like, I'm trying to pretend to be just a gay boy and be in the closet. So it's not exactly the most pleasant sensation. God damn it, the weaponized personalization is working. Listen, that's why I'm chaotic good. I will do unethical things for the purpose of a greater good. You know, like, even if technically reinforcing a friendly relationship between us, because I don't, listen, some of you I speak to, like, in the Discord, but realistically, like, I don't know if Silent is in the chat right now. If Silent were in the chat right now, I would be like, there is exactly one person here who I have a friendship with. The rest of you, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, realistically speaking. So that's why the parasocial relationship is problematic. Because you end up with an idea of who I am and this impression of what the relationship is like, and I don't build that on my side, you know? We are mysteries wrapped in enigmas. Oh, I was gonna finish this beer and then go get another one. Today, Phoebe, you just saw this today, or has this discourse cropped back up? Saw that there were people expecting Kat Black to take a public stance on Jessica Yaniv just because she's also trans. That is kind of what I mean. Jesus. But yeah, is that kicking back up today? Or did you just see the old discourse about that? Because I do feel like I remember seeing old discourse about that at some point. My opinion on that is, like, congratulations. Like, like some people are fucking weird in all communities. Like, should I take the overwhelmingly huge number of cis male sexual predators and by that virtue say that cis males should not be allowed in public restrooms anymore? You know, like, Jesus fucking Christ. One person doesn't speak for all, but also traumatic things are traumatic. It's not right how people expect all of the everything from what people already know. Oh, that it's been covered. Yeah, true. I think Kat addressed it in a post made today. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. I'm kind of curious. The word hermaphrodite is, it's biologically inaccurate to refer to humans as hermaphroditic because hermaphroditism is a condition wherein, hold on. Let me just fucking get a picture of this. Hermaphroditism is a condition where like half of the organism is male and half of the organism is female. It's very easy to see on butterflies because there's like pretty clear sexual dimorphism in butterflies. So here you can see hermaphrodite butterfly, female on one side, male on the other side. And it is biologically inaccurate to refer to humans that way. And also it's a term that has been historically used in a kind of dehumanizing and derogatory manner, which is why it is generally considered most correct to refer to it as intersex when it's people. It's kind of like how, like, you know, you could refer to broad swaths of human beings as males and females, but that's kind of clinical and dehumanizing. That's the language that you would use when you're speaking about animals. Generally, when you're speaking about humans, most of the time you'll say like woman or man, right? Because we're speaking about humans. That's kind of one of the other distinctions. So like intersex refers to a human condition, typically, and hermaphroditism is a very specific condition, first of all, and mostly for animals also. I'm gonna throw something away real quick. My desk is kind of a mess. Sorry, y'all. And yes, hermaphrodite is considered a slur. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Yeah, shout out to that one episode of House when he refers to the congenital androgen insensitivity as male pseudohermaphroditism. Yikes. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, creature of the Fae. Getting water because you told me to. Weaponizing parasocial relationships for the good of your audience. I swear to fucking God. Like, that's always been my goal, is to just, like, give people, like, hope and make people feel better and empowered to make their own decisions and, like, empowered to take care of yourselves and shit. Jessica says, as someone named Jessica, no one has dogpiled me for an opinion and I feel robbed. I mean, same, Jessica. I get ignored frequently during these big discourses. That's one of the nice things, I guess, about... I don't know what it is about me. People tend to just kind of ignore me. I think even compared to other people that Calvin Guerra has come out against, for example, that like when he made a video about me, I think relatively few of his audience members came over. No, what I'm saying is that I am frequently ignored, and it is kind of annoying, actually. I mean, it's, like, better than, I guess, receiving harassment, but at the end of the day, I kind of just feel like I'm never going to break out of my tiny little bubble. Yeah, Calvin Guerra made a video about me, like, 2 years ago. It's actually, excuse me, it has the most views on his channel for his public videos, or second most views on his channel. Let's take a look. This is fun to check on every once in a while. Oh my God. Oh, wow. Oh, look at this. The channel, the video at the very top of his channel here. I guess Calvin is a streamer now. I didn't realize this. Demon Mama is completely wrong about self-diagnosis. This is a 4-hour, like, stream. And I guess he doesn't... Oh, yeah. So when you look at the popular uploads on his channel, the view on his... Like, this is by how many views they have. So the channel Oh my God, I keep saying channel. The video on his channel with the most views is this one. And the second most views on his entire channel is this video about me. And it's just still there. And it's probably going to be there forever. He is so obsessed with Demon Mama, though. It is very weird. Anyway, I didn't know that he was streaming now. I guess, you know, streaming is arguably easier than recording videos. And so I can relate on that regard. I do want to sit down and record some videos sometimes. Why does he dislike that you quit HRT? What he dislikes is that I said, if you want to try hormones for a little while and it turns out to not work out for you, that's okay. I said it's okay to try hormones and see how it goes. And he fucking did not like that. I remember when I was a fan of his and blindly agreed with everything I said, or he said, before I accepted the fact that I'm NB. I'm sorry, Raccoon Pope. That's the upsetting thing, is that so many people's transitions have been delayed because they believed Calvin when he was speaking as an authority figure about what it means to be trans. I'm surprised he didn't delete it like half of his vids. I'm kind of surprised too, Boovine, especially because he's like super good friends with Riley Grace Rochong, and she and I were like friendly to each other up until the point at which like she started acting really uncool toward like everybody. I remember watching that video in my late transmed stage, but I did end up liking what you had to say, surprisingly, since I don't want to be on HRT forever. That's thank you, Boovine. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, that's the trick. I managed to fucking spread the message farther. Calvin is a loser. He failed to do what he was trying to do. He was trying to like debunk what I was saying and make me seem like I was unreasonable. But what ended up happening is that I broke people out of their transmed phase and helped people realize that they can be non-binary and do what they want. All you needed was someone to tell you that you had permission. That's all you needed. Sometimes that is all people need, is just someone to say like, hey, it's okay for you to take a break. It's okay for you to do something for yourself. It's okay for you to rest. It's okay for you to transition. It's okay for you to try hormones and just see how it goes, even if you're not 100% sure. If you take them for a month, it's probably not going to do anything permanent to you. 1 month, that is enough time to know if it's going to be right in your mind and in your body, you know, before any changes start to happen. He said in the video that he hopes you get help and he feels bad for you. It's really funny because I have been out as trans since Calvin was 8 years old. He's like 21. I'm literally like 7 or 8 years older than him. And I came out, like he was like half my age when I came out. RGR thought she could save him or something. It's weird. She thought that she could like convert him, and then she just ended up being his ally. It's very weird. Yeah, I agree, Baphomet. Transmeds and right-wing trans content creators do content made for cis people exclusively. I'm trans, and whenever I watch Blair White, I get this overwhelming sense of like, how could you say this about trans people and not feel abysmal? Imagine being trans and watching that kind of content regularly. I'd get a whole new kind of dysphoria from it. Super dysphoria. I'd need a whole new DSM entry and inspire an entirely new field of gender-affirming medicine. Oh my god, true. What's up, Dizzy? Hey, how's it going? If you take testosterone and want to stop and have your feminine voice again, isn't that irreversible? So the voice getting deeper is irreversible, but you can do voice training and also singing. My voice sounds like shit today, and it has sounded like shit all day today, but like sometimes I just like to sing Moana and I can still do that. And I have literally never tried to feminize my voice, but if I wanted to feminize my voice, I could probably return to sounding like a girl. I mean, like, listen to trans women. You know, trans women's voices are deep, but like they can sound normatively female. But if you take testosterone for 1 month it's not going to change your voice enough to be noticeable permanently. You might have a little bit of a husk in your voice after 1 month, but that's like minimal as far as potentially permanent changes, you know? I got 2 months of HRT, know it's something I want, then had to stop because I live in the medical third world of USA. Oh my God, I'm sorry, NBJ. I wish we could in some way like help people get access to medical care. I will say, if you live in Kansas or Missouri and you're having a difficult time getting a hold of HRT, DM me on Twitter and I can hook you up to with a service that you might be able to access hormones through if you live in Kansas or Missouri. I haven't been misgendered on the phone in 6 years. Voice training is amazing. Congrats, Timerinia. Yeah, I can go back and forth on my voice whenever I want. I kind of am curious if I could do that. If I could actually sound like a girl, because I haven't tried it in a long time. Usually, like, if I just go out and if I'm dressed like this and I'm wearing a mask, you know, and I'm like, hi, I'm just here to pick up my car. I left it here to get an oil change earlier, and yeah, I'm just here to pick it up. You know, like if I just do that, like I basically can just pass as female if I want. You know, people don't seem to really get tripped up by my voice very much. If I'm just like, if I were dressed like this and I was wearing a push-up bra and everything, like people seem to just be okay with me as female, and that's kind of fine with me because hey, it's a way for me to stay safe. I don't mind being misgendered as female at this point in my life, and I don't really care what people perceive me as, so long as they perceive me as someone who wants to be left alone. Everything else is fine. Being a deep-voiced woman is a form of gender affirmation if you are already leaning butchy anyway. You can be a cis woman with a deep voice. That's true, too. Boovine says, I've been really irregular with HRT shots since I have ADHD, and my voice hasn't changed much besides the husk either. Gonna try to get the pellet soon. I hope that you can get the pellet. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to try it, it will really not change much, but you can see the differences if you like them or not and decide whether it's for you. Yeah, it's... Why would you be at the mechanic, though? Because I don't want to change my own oil. Why would I want to do that? I would have to buy an entire set of tools that is meant for working on a car. I would have to get under a car. You know what? I know a woman who has gradually lost more and more of her leg because at some point they were working on a car and the car like fell onto her foot and like crushed her foot and it had to be amputated. And like, so at one point she was a below the knee amputee, but now there continued to be issues. So she like now is an above the knee amputee. Why would you try to pass as a woman at the mechanic? Mostly because my mechanic has known me since before I transitioned. And also because sometimes I want to dress femme and then I still have shit to do. So I'm certainly not like trying to come across as masculine when I'm dressed femininely, you know? Wow, we are not talking about anything serious today, are we? It's cheaper to change oil by yourself, but TBH, doing that is annoying. Yeah, I don't want to work on a car. I don't want to do cars. I have specialized in several different things, and car is not one of them. Not everybody has to be a jack of all trades, okay? Amusingly, having short hair now messes them up. Need to get some wigs when I want to look more femme. True, Sisukara. Yeah, Sisu, if I'm remembering correctly, you like identified as a trans woman for a long time, and now you're like realizing that you're non-binary? Fun fact about Keffels, I thought she was AFAB at first. Her voice did not clock as trans girl. So if you sound like Keffels, you can pass. You can pass. Yeah, someone earlier said Keffels was voice goals. Watching Keffels streams just for Italian MILF ASMR. Yeah, Keffels is cool. I sent her a DM recently just to be like, hey, welcome to YouTube. And then she was welcomed back to Twitch, and she never responded. That's okay, though. What if I told you I ran into Blair White last week and I pretended I didn't know who she was and we told each other jokes? I mean, I would be like, where do you live? Where does she live? How did you run into... If she lives in California, how the fuck do you just run into Blair White casually in public? I thought she lived in, like, LA. Does she live in Texas? I wouldn't have thought that she lived in Texas. Oh, okay. She moved to Dallas. Why would you move to Texas? I don't understand why you would do that. I work at a shop part-time, so an oil change is a breeze in comparison to other things. That's fair. I mean, you have the facilities to do that shit too. Like, I have a parking lot under the open fucking sun in which to work on my car. You know what I mean? Okay, apparently Blair White moved to Texas. I didn't never hear about that. I have to I'm gonna get more water and probably another drink. IBRB. Vanessa LeBlanc in Texas. Have fun in the Republic of Transphobia. Betch. True. God, true. I've gotten ma'am and sir when working at a call center, mostly sir, so I figure I just kind of sound like a gay dude. Yeah, I think I can pass as a gay dude if I want to. Excuse me. I was at a bar. I didn't want to start an argument. So you ran into Blair White at a bar? That sounds like an epic adventure. Also, why would you have argued with her? You don't agree with Blair White? So you were like, otherwise I would have started an argument. Your mask singing voice could pass as a male country singer. I agree with that. Because that's what I sing. I sing country music. Yeah, I don't know, Jay. Why would anyone move to Texas? I don't get it. I can't sing male pop music because you try to sing male pop music and it's like, oh, let's do boys like girls. Like, it's like, I feel like a hero and you are my heroine. Fucking, that's what it's like to sing boy music. And like, with my voice, it doesn't sound good. But then I switch to like, the taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. And like, I can actually sound good in that range. So fucking pop music with the super high pop boy sounds. I don't know. Music that used to be too low for me to sing, now way too high for me to sing. Why? I refuse to give those people attention. Yeah, I, you know, it would be nice if we lived in a world where I was like, I have the power to cancel Blair White by just not paying attention to her. But I'm small enough that I'm siphoning off of her life energy when I make videos about her. 90s boy band stuff. I did listen to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys back in the day. Your voice is goals. I can't wait for Boy Juice. I'm excited for you. Always told myself if I ran into a public figure I don't like, I will pretend to not know them. That's, certainly one way to do it. I probably wouldn't engage them in conversation, though. That's the thing, is if like I saw Blair White in public and she didn't know who I was, but I knew who she was, I wouldn't be like, funny weather we're having lately. Like I would be like, I'm drinking my beer over here. Backstreet Boys are attached to my soul. You may hate me, but it ain't no lie, baby. Bye, bye, bye. I did used to listen to that shit when I was younger. I think you could sing songs by Coldplay. That's true. You're right. Coldplay is not too bad, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I can hear what he sounds like. Caitlin Bennett was in a cheesecake factory that I was in once, but I didn't approach. I mean, you can't approach. You absolutely cannot. I know that Bye 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 is by NSYNC. I was just thinking of like both of those bands. I was like, can I think of any music by both of those bands? I loved boy bands at 1.2. Listen, I also listened to Britney Spears back in the day. You know? I was like, and I love what you do, but you know that you're toxic. Why I can't whistle that high. Sometimes we just have singing streams. Sometimes I just fucking decide that I'm not talking about any of the important news, I guess. I'm kicking the can on this news until next stream or something. I have literally only talked about 2 of the things on my list. What else do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 other things. Oh, 6. I actually have 6 other things to talk about. I guess we'll do the MS Paint segment today. We got to do the MS Paint segment because I finally had an idea, and people who like this community seem to go batshit crazy for the MS Paint segments. I guess it's just mostly the Voshites. Is it the Voshites who go apeshit over streams with MS Paint in them? Do you know who Aaron Carter is? I don't think so. Oh, mostly in your sassy BSB fangirl voice? Oh, true. I met Paul Rudd at work. We love Paul Rudd, Rain Raven. I'm jealous. Paul Rudd is incredible. I love him, and he's from Kansas City, which is where I'm from. He's a good homegrown boy. I would love to meet him. Yeah, I've never done an MS Paint stream before. I've never had an idea. He gave me chocolates. What? Paul Rudd gave you chocolates? Oh my god. Oh, but I came back to talk about Lockheed Martin, okay? If any of you don't know, this part of the stream might be kind of boring for you. But I'm gonna finally fucking weigh in because I've basically just not been saying anything on Twitter about it, okay? There was this person called Anna Mardal on Twitter who I guess was like an SJW type who is, you know, very typically like the type of person who makes commentary about wokeness and some people being more or less woke, and was the kind of person who occasionally like asks for money and like Patreon and stuff like that. Contentious take haver, yeah. And I didn't really know who the fuck Anna Mardal was. Like, I had seen some tweets from them, but the thing that caught my attention recently that you might have heard of as well was there was that take going around that was like, it was like, if you're an author, you shouldn't say that it's necessary for you to also be a reader regularly. Like, I guess Anna, I don't know how to pronounce it, was responding to someone else who had said, you know, if you're a novelist, you should be reading at least X number of novels a year or something along those lines, right? I didn't see the original take. But Anna was like, if you have disability-related reasons for not being able to read for pleasure, then obviously you can still be a writer, you know, you can still be an author. And it was just kind of like a not big deal, silly little, why is everybody taking this so seriously kind of take seriously, whatever. I also find reading very difficult. Audiobooks are awesome, but people will also be like, well, I don't have the attention span to listen. Or like, what if they're also hard of hearing? And like, I think that there are other ways to engage with narrative and learn about narrative. So first of all, here's my big take. First of all, I don't think as a writer that you should read for pleasure. I actually think that reading for pleasure is very unuseful to you as an author. I think that you should read for comprehension. I think that you should read for an analytical lens. And sometimes that means taking one paragraph and like processing it and reading it. But you can do this with other stuff besides strictly novels, you know? Yeah, I'm not sure if reading the works of other people inherently improves your own writing. Like, I specifically think that reading for pleasure, the purpose of reading for pleasure is that you're doing it to get some pleasure out of it, right? You're like not doing it to learn. You're doing it to relax. And that is not a time where you're honing your craft, you know? That's different than like, I'm gonna read this one chapter from this book and like understand something about it specifically. Or I watch a lot of people who speak about writing and world building and stuff on YouTube. And they talk about like this scene in this show was really well written, or this scene in this book was really well written, and they will talk through the prose, break it down, discuss it. So I think that there are ways besides just straight up, literally reading, like sitting down with a book in your hands and reading, that you can absorb information that's useful to you, right? If you don't ever engage with anyone else's writing, I think that you can technically write and be a writer, but I think that you're going to be limited. I think that you're not going to improve because it is a form that requires skill, like language requires skill, and like writing something in a way that is going to be engaging to your readers requires skill. So you can be a writer. You might not be a writer for your career. If that's what you meant, then yes, you do need to engage with other people's writing to some extent in some form or fashion. I highly doubt that you will be successful in a career as a writer if you do not engage with any other prose. There's plenty of fanfic writers who have read plenty of works and still write like shit. I mean, if you're reading fan fiction most of the time, it's definitely not going to help you. I think it's important to be able to switch that analytic part on and off. I'm a composer and will write by intuition, but read back and analyze it, and I'm always analyzing music I listen to. Yeah, I want to learn music theory. Great ADHD, let me know. Am I going to be living in a hell of my own making if I teach myself music theory? So anyway, that was the most recent thing that Anna Mardal became famous for, became the main character of Twitter for. By the way, I believe Anna uses G, like XIE pronouns, or he, him. Not sure. His Twitter is deactivated now, so it's not possible to check. But Kiwi Farms, which I guess you're really not supposed to mention it by name. It's like Bloody Mary. You're not supposed to mention it by name. Anyway, horrendous website that is famous for doxing people. They have talked about me before. I know for a fact I've checked at some various points in the past. I don't know if they've talked about me recently. Let me know, I guess, because I'm not going to check. But they doxed Anna and found out that Anna works for Lockheed Martin, which I didn't know a damn thing about this company until this discourse started up. Like, I guess it's a weapons manufacturing company. And Anna was like doxed about working there, and then came out on Twitter to explain themselves. And they were like, I work there because my family member works there, and I got the job like over a decade ago, and I still work there because they let me work only 10 to 15 hours a week and still provide me with health care. So they were basically saying, like, as a disabled person, they didn't have any other option, I guess, was part of what they were saying. That's kind of like what the big discourse is now, is like, wow, holy shit, how can you profess to be a leftist online? How can you ask people for money when you own a house? Like, that was a big issue that people were having. Like, other disabled people who are, like, not at a place in their life where they could possibly ever own a house are, like, contributing to this person's Patreon and helping them out, even though they work for, like, a weapons manufacturing company. So I am not the kind of person who has the specs on my resume to get a job at some place like that. Far, far and away, I can't imagine that I would work at a company like that if I had the resume to get a job like that. that's something that I really agree with, that criticism people have been saying. Like, if you have the specs to get a job at that kind of company as an engineer or whatever, like a software engineer, then you should be able to get a job anywhere else. However, that job is necessarily, like, not necessarily going to provide you with health insurance, which unfortunately in America is tied to your job. Like, I almost understand being like, materially, my life would be a lot worse if I didn't have this job. The issue that I have is, like, why the fuck were you asking for Patreon money then? Like, why were you doing that, you know? And it just seems really fucking weird and hypocritical. But I don't know. I don't know if I would do something different in that position, or like, I don't know what I would do. I heard that the job was data entry. No, here's the thing, Mersh. I am not going to be an electrician. I cannot. Like, I cannot physically do any of the work that an electrical person needs to do. I could maybe, I guess if I really wanted to, go to school and become an engineer, like an electrical engineer, and write like blueprints and stuff, but that sounds like a fucking nightmare. As much as this job stresses me out because I have to look at the terrible news all day, it's so much better than having to work for someone. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a nightmare. True. Did they show finances? I think part of the docs was like they own a house. Qualifications, member of Biden's trans cat girl army. True. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of like the extent of my opinion about the Lockheed Martin shit. Wow, we really lost people during that segment. Music theory is a bitch and a half. I only took music education for 1 year, so only 2 semesters of it, but it's annoying. Music theory is useful as a tool and not a strict set of rules. If I need a specific tone or mood, I have a catalog of types of chords to pick from, or scales for a solo. That's kind of what I want to understand music for. I want to, like, if I'm watching a movie, I want to be like, I can hear what chords are happening here, you know? Oh my gosh, that's true, Nuvenal. Electricians have a lot of opportunities for superpower origin stories, so it might be worth it. True. Yeah, as an electrician, I could not do the manual labor shit. Like, I earnestly physically can't. Oh my god, Baphomet. My qualifications. I can't brush my teeth without explicit daily and nightly reminders because layers upon layers of executive dysfunction. I also got rejected for disability. I'm sorry to hear that. It was your appeal, too. That sucks. Oh, man. Okay. I thought it was your second time. I thought it was your second time being evaluated, Baphomet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe we should talk about some actual news now. We've been, like, fucking around for the past hour or however long. Static Shock. I remember Static Shock. It was a long time ago. Oh gosh. Oh man, should we just do the MS Paint segment? Maybe we should try to do some more politics stuff and get more people in here before we do the MS Paint segment. 37 people, that's a good number of folks, but sometimes we have like 50 people in here, and if I'm gonna do an MS Paint segment, I want there to be like 50 people here, so I guess maybe it might have to wait until next time. Let's go ahead and look at this kind of funny, stupid thing. So, do y'all remember how at one point we talked about how all of the female segregated sports mostly exist because when cis women play against cis men, they actually challenged the cis men's superiority. Like, women are actually significantly better endurance athletes, for one example. So, Nicole Hanselman was forced to stop and wait 7 minutes because race officials couldn't fathom that the fastest women's cyclist would be faster than the slowest men's. So the women's race started 10 minutes after the men's race. Like, a breakaway female cyclist was forced to stop during a prestigious race in Belgium after she started to catch up with the men's competition, which had started 10 minutes earlier. They literally like start the men's cycling 10 minutes earlier, and she was so fast that she was leaving the women cluster and catching up to the men's cluster, and they forced her to stop for 7 minutes. So that when the other racers caught up to her, she was not able to get back in stride. She finished 75th. I think this might be her when she's being forced to stop there. Like, this is what they are doing to you, cis women. This is what they're doing to you. You are just accepting a place of secondary status. You like the insistence upon segregating women into their own sports category is an insistence upon your own like incompetence, essentially. You're just saying like, yes, women are inherently worse than men at physical stuff. Like typical, like just straight up bioessentialist stuff. 7 minutes, forced to stop and wait for 7 minutes. That's so fucked up. So over people saying they stopped her so she couldn't draft off the men. That's not the point. The point is the systematic misogyny that was in place that assumed the fastest woman in no way would be faster than the slowest men by over 10 minutes. Jesus. So yeah, that was part of my notes today. Little brief. Oh, look at that. Xanderhall started streaming a few minutes ago. Always good for him. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, I'm so excited to catch up on my editing, y'all. It's so good to get some work done. Yeah, when people get told that they're inferior, they'll play into it and believe it. But it literally doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. I've read studies. If you tell girls before they take a math test that girls are bad at math, they will perform worse than the girls that you just don't say that to. If you just don't say that girls are bad at math, girls will do just fine on math tests because it's not anything inherent about your gender that makes you good or bad at math. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Some of the weirdest assumptions, truly. All right, what else do we got today? What have I knocked off the docket? All right, we got that, then we did this, and we did this. I wanted to learn a little bit today. I don't really think that I'm going to have enough commentary to add to this to make it like a segment, but I wanted to learn a little bit today. So if you're not interested in that, then it sucks to be you. So a lot of people are giving some pretty uninformed takes about puberty blockers based on the pretty uninformed take about puberty blockers, which is contained in the CAS Review interim report. As someone who studies adolescent cognitive development for my PhD, I have some notes. So this is I think this is a person who's in the process of writing their thesis. So this is a graduate student who's writing their thesis on the way to getting their PhD and has the trans and genderqueer colors up here. So the interim report is linked here. It says that, so this is about the truth about puberty blockers' effects on neuropsychological development. It says that adolescent sex hormones may trigger the opening of a critical period for experience-dependent rewiring of neural circuits underlying executive function. So this is saying that if you let kids do puberty normally with their surges of sex hormones, that triggers the brain entering a new phase of plasticity. Like when you're a baby, your brain is, quote, plastic, which means that it's easily malleable, which means like it's really easy for you to learn. So they're claiming in the CAS report that the specific set of hormonal changes that you go through in puberty are almost as important as what happens when you're a toddler as far as your brain development. And so if that were the case, then the brain maturation, like the rate at which your brain matures, could be permanently affected, temporarily or permanently disrupted by blocking puberty, which could have impact on the ability to make risk-laden decisions and other long-term consequences. So she is responding, or I don't know, they and she. She is responding by saying that the triggering of a critical period has necessarily occurred before the puberty blockers are prescribed. Like, by the time puberty is noticeable, then the changes have already been triggered. Like, you know, by the time you start having symptoms of puberty, like you start to stink and have mood swings and stuff, by that time that you could even tell that you were starting puberty, that brain change has already happened. So, yeah, puberty is not noticed until the first wave of changes caused by gonad arc, and therefore that initial surge of hormones has already happened. Yeah. In trans kids, it is standard of care to wait until that same stage of development before implementing puberty blockers. Experience-dependent rewiring, brains don't have wires, so rewiring is an odd phrasing, is indeed really important. We have a lot of evidence that social stress during adolescence produces glucocorticoid surges that cause lasting damage across multiple brain systems, including executive function. Math be mathing, and cool to know. So true. And here we have some links, which are very useful. So experiences like precocious puberty, or even early normal, which would be... So precocious puberty, I guess, is before the age of 8 years old. And then early normal puberty would be at, like, after 8 years old. That seems really early still. In which... age and identity congruent pubertal changes occur. These are associated with the same worse outcomes because of the experiences. Stress and sex-related hormones and signaling axes interact enormously within that age group. So the effect of stress on executive function development is at least as great as any disruptions puberty blockers could hypothetically cause, but there's no evidence that it does cause that. So yeah, late puberty is no big deal. General clinical consensus is that it's rarely a problem. It can result from something usually seen as pathological in a minority of cases. So I just thought that this was really good information. Here's what we do know. Denying trans kids access to puberty blockers is associated with a 1.7 to 3.3 times greater risk of suicidality after controlling for a lot of other possible factors. This is a 25 tweet thread. Oh my God. I will provide the link to this thread in the YouTube chat and in the website chat so that you all can read some of those links. I wish I had access to puberty blockers, TBH. Puberty scared the fuck out of me because it happened so young. I like started menstruating when I was 13, and that was fine, I guess. It wasn't too early. No, I don't think it's a trans TERF. Yeah, I think that was an actual genderqueer person. I really doubt that a TERF would be making pro-puberty blocker arguments. I really doubt that that would be the case. But yeah, I didn't... I would have appreciated having access to a therapist, because I spent like 6 years considering whether or not I wanted hormones and surgery and shit. I mean, I spent longer considering surgery, but it was... I would have been able to figure out whether I should have done it sooner, you know? Like, I might have done it sooner if I had had access to a therapist who I could talk to about that kind of shit. But, I mean, there just wasn't enough information at the time for us to know what transition shit was related. Like, I didn't know that blockers were an option at all. When I was 15 and I realized I was trans, I was like, I want to go on T. You know, I didn't even know that there was a possibility to wait. But yeah. Wow, people, I mean, some of you liked that, obviously. There's still 33 people here, but I just, like, notice when there's, like, these little drops. You know what's going to be really great? I would like to get to the point as a streamer where I don't notice fluctuations of, like, 10 people, you know? If there's like 10 more or fewer people at a given time, I want to not notice, which I think means that I need to have like 1 or 200 people in here. Let's see. What else did we have today? Oh shit, Creature of the Face said my mom started her period at 9 years old. She thought she was dying and my grandma laughed at her despite never educating her on periods. Wow, that's a fucked up thing to do. That's awful. Holy shit, that's terrible. Little bit of good news. Just a brief little bit of good news. IDK, how you don't have more people. Your streams are always fun. It's just early days. I mean, first of all, I'm doing amazing for someone who just decided to start doing this full time a couple months ago. But I've only been streaming full time since February. It's, well, now that I think about it, that's like 6 months. Is that really? Have I been streaming for 6 months? Like, it was mid-February when I was like, shit, I have to start streaming full time because I don't have a job. So March, April, May, June, July, August. In about a week, I will have been streaming full-time for 6 months. Wow, that's insane. Thank you all so much for being here and supporting this channel. Like, holy shit. You know, I'm not, like, making enough money to buy a house or anything, but I am able to contribute my half of the bills, so that's good. This is why even elementary school students need sex ed, so that they know what periods are and don't freak out when they happen. Honestly. Yeah, we're solid. Let's see. I have only a couple more things, and not all of them even require that much commentary. Bit of good news real quick out of West Virginia. Mersh, is that where you're at? You're in Virginia or West Virginia? A federal judge ruled that West Virginia must cover gender-affirming care, and that banning coverage for gender-affirming care discriminates on the basis of sex, which is huge for all of the trans people that have been denied there. And I was just editing a segment where we were talking about Alabama. We were talking about how Alabama was having this lawsuit where the United States was suing the state of Alabama, saying, no, you cannot discriminate against people on the basis of sex by denying cross-sex hormones to kids. So that's, this is going to be useful in that case to show, like, yeah, no, the federal judge has already declared that if you ban this, it's sex discrimination, you know? West Virginia Medicaid program exclusion, denying coverage for the surgical care. Oh, that's for Medicaid. So this would affect adults. Denying coverage for the surgical care of gender dysphoria discriminates on the basis of sex and transgender status. This exclusion violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, the Affordable Care Act, and the Medicaid Act. Defendants are enjoined from enforcing or applying the exclusion. So that means that the judge has said, you are not permitted to enforce this law and prevent people from being able to access. Sparky Pete points out YouTube alerts suck. If you don't want to rely on YouTube alerts, join the Discord server. Because I post like 30 minutes to an hour before we go live. And I say, hey, we're going to go live at this time and here's what we're talking about today. And then I try to also tag everybody when I actually start stream. So you're more likely to actually get the notifications if you sign up there. I will also say that if you have YouTube alerts on for my channel, but you have turned off YouTube notifications from the app itself, you will not get notifications from my channel. So you have to make sure they're on for YouTube first. So, yeah, but I was excited to see this good news. It's nice to hear. Oh, this is an interesting part of this as well. So, Erin says, I thought this was fascinating. The use of the slightly archaic term in coverage bans, transsexual surgery, helped this case succeed. The case did not depend on this, but it's interesting to see it referenced, especially in light of ending the sex equals or sex does not equal gender discourse. So looking to the language of the exclusion, it's clear that the exclusion discriminates on its face. The exclusion denies coverage for, quote, transsexual surgery. This language refers explicitly to sex. One seeking a transsexual surgery seeks to change from their sex assigned at birth to the sex that more accurately reflects their gender identity. Only individuals who identify as transgender would seek, quote, transsexual surgery. And as the Supreme Court reasoned in a previous case, one cannot consider the term transgender without considering sex. So following this reasoning, the court finds that the exclusion references sex on its face, finding that the plan's exclusions for sex changes or modifications and related care discriminate on their face. So excluding coverage for medically necessary care based on this is sex discrimination. So good shit. Yes, you should absolutely join the Discord. I want it to be more and more active in there, you know? We should do, like, something to make it more active. Do we need to... Let's do activities? I don't know. We need to figure it out, though. Because I think the Discord is unfortunately becoming a reflection of me, which is that I don't talk very much. Oh, gosh. Okay, we did that. We did this news. Okay. Well, we have 2 bad newses left and the MS Paint segment, which I might not do today. We might have to do the MS Paint segment on Sunday, because Sundays are usually higher energy streams. TBH, with so much negative trans news, it's kind of depressing. It makes watching the news like, damn, what's next? So any good news is so appreciated. Yes, I agree. Maybe we should stop talking about bad news today then. Because I'm suffering from having, like, I'm stressed. I braid my hair all the time because my hair is falling out. And so I braid it to keep it up. And because we do have bad news left. The 2 bad newses that we have left on my list for today are that Ron DeSantis suspended State Attorney Andrew Warren for refusal to prosecute in certain cases. And it's just as shitty as you think it is. Like, this a state attorney was like, I am not going to try to help the state enforce these laws about, like, trans Medicaid shit, I think. Here, let's actually look at this. Let's just go ahead and look at it. Since I brought it up, let's just fucking talk about it. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis suspended State Attorney Andrew Warren for refusing to participate or to prosecute the doctors who are treating trans kids and their families, as well as trans people, for using the bathroom. So this is the "we're firing you" statement, I think. Warren demonstrated his incompetence and willful defiance of his duties as a state attorney as early as June 2021, when he signed a, quote, joint statement with other elected prosecutors in support of gender transition treatments for children and bathroom usage based on gender identity. The statement read, "We pledge to use our discretion and not promote the criminalization of gender-affirming healthcare or transgender people." And down here it says, "We are committed to ending this deeply disturbing and destructive criminalization of gender-affirming healthcare and trans people." So last summer, this guy was like, no. I'm not going to enforce this unjust law. And so DeSantis is just removing him from his position, which is definitely not at all a fascist tactic. It's definitely not something that fascists do. Like, install people who are gonna obey them without question, you know? Jesus. Hey, if you liked that news, hit like on the stream, please. Fucking Christ. We're out here trying to turn a profit based on this news, okay? Good news is important, bad news is a lot, and stress can really mess with the mind. Yeah. I really, really am just firmly in the camp of, like, we can't let ourselves drown in the bad news. Like, but it's also my job to cover the bad news, but it's not my job to cover only the bad news, okay? I think my main job is to keep you all from losing your minds. Yeah, and the guy's elected, so just fucking over the voters as well. Why don't you run for president? Because I'm 28. This is why I kind of like the whole... Oh, no worries, Baphomet. Yeah, no, I knew you were going to be quieter in the Discord. Yeah. I wandered off and got high, but I'm back. Welcome, Silent. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Silent, I was really considering... I was really like, you know, when I was drunk on Sunday, I was like, what if I did just fucking drive to Washington, you know? Like, I was like, I don't know if this is actually an imposition on my new friendship, but what if I did fucking drive up there? I found out that I did a little gas calculation thing. It would be $400 in gasoline and 27 hours of my time to drive over. But I also checked airplanes, and a round trip ticket sometime in August would be like $500, $400 or $500. And also I don't have a passport yet, so I wouldn't be able to fly. I don't have the special thing on my, no, that was round trip. I saw some one ways for like, is that a thing that people do? Do you just go to a place? No, you do need a yeah, no, Baphomet. They changed the laws. I don't think it's this way in every state, but when I last got my driver's license updated, they asked like, oh, are you bringing the additional documentation and paying extra for real ID? Like Mersh just pointed out, real ID, so that you can fly domestically. And I didn't have like my fucking birth certificate with me, so I didn't run my real ID on my driver's license, which means that I can't fly domestically unless I have a passport, which I need to get a passport anyway. Yeah, what even is real ID? It's just like, to get a driver's license, you don't need to have all the same documentation. It's just like it's a federal ID basically. Like I have a state ID, but not a quote federal ID. So yeah, my driver's license does not allow me to fly domestically. But is it a normal thing people do? Like if I was like, okay, I found a plane ticket from like Kansas City Airport to Seattle Tacoma Airport, and it was only like $120. Amazing. Do people really buy a ticket one way and then just like stay there, and they're like, I'll buy a plane ticket home at some point? Like I imagine that would be so stressful. I think, well, Silent, I think if it's your old ID, that maybe it's like grandfathered in. But it also depends on what state you're in. Like, I don't think that they're enforcing it fully nationally yet. Oh my god, excuse me. Okay, the burp. Thank you. We got it back. So, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't actually start until March 2023. Okay, thank you, Hellhound. They've delayed it several times. Okay, I just know, yeah, I went to get my ID like last year, and they had the option for me to pay for that. So I guess I could fly still until March next year. But yeah, I was like, oh shit, it would actually cost $400 in gas. And if I had $400 in gas to spend driving up there, or even if I had like $300 to afford a plane ticket, assuming that I could get one for like 150 out and then 150 back, I would need to save that money for the eventual move. Yeah, that was a round trip figure. Yeah. It actually depends on how much of a finance geek you are. Really? Oh, May 2023 it goes into effect. Okay. Yeah, hopefully by then I'll have an actual federal ID, you know. I need to get that passport process started. That's what this paperwork is right here. Just hiding in the background of the stream. Yeah, real ID is your ID with your chosen name. True. Wouldn't that be incredible? It's like cool that some credit card agencies are allowing you to put your chosen name on your card, but it's also like just kind of asking for trouble, it seems like, to have your ID not match your credit card. Americux be seething over PNW chads. I know. It's the worst. Okay, let's see. The only other news item I had today was apparently the Republicans are discussing trying to get a constitutional convention going. Like, there is more than one way to amend the Constitution. There's the normal way, which we've already done like 27 times. But there's a second way that involves the states forming like a coalition and like creating an initiative to change the rules. I don't know if it's, I mean, like, it's worth covering in the sense that it's fucked up that they're talking about it, and if they manage to get a constitutional convention, they're gonna change some shit that's gonna be very uncool. However, they need like 15 more states to get on board with this, and that just seems like a really high number. Like, I have this map on one of these pages here. Scrolling down. Dude, I forgot about Rick Santorum's existence. And I'm so proud of Dan Savage for changing the meaning of the name Santorum forever. So that's what I think about every time I see Rick Santorum around. This map here shows that a 2/3 majority, or 34 states, would be needed to pass the group's call to convene a constitutional convention. And these dark green ones are ones that have passed the call. These orange ones where it have failed. Hey, look at that, Kansas. Amazing. Please continue to not be a shit place to live. That would be great. Some progress has been made in these light green ones. So like South Dakota has made some progress toward passing a resolution to convene the states to amend the Constitution. That's like that's the whole concept. Yeah, but they still need 15 more in order to get to that point. And it seems like they're probably not going to, but also they're talking about trying, and that's scary on its own. Kind of like please stop. Just cease and desist what you're doing. Not enjoyable. Don't want it. Oh my god, Sisakara, you have 7 credit cards? I opened my very first line of credit this year. I mean, aside from I had a car loan at one point, but like I had never had a credit card until my cat needed x-rays. I was like, well, that's $500 that I don't have right now. So sure, I will open a credit line in order to do this. But it's going to be paid off soon, so I'm not too worried about it. Honestly, yeah, I thought the Constitution was sacred and inspired by God and stuff. It's incredible how it doesn't work that way. Amazed Idaho isn't involved with this bullshit. Yeah, these states on the western side have just been like, we are not even gonna attempt. And even if those states that that haven't attempted were to attempt, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would only be 7 more states. Oh wait, hold on, 7, and then there's tiny ones over here. 8, 9, 10. So even if they got all 10 of those, and they're not gonna get all 10 of those because one of those states is California. And the other 2 states over here are Washington and Oregon. Like, those states are not going to be like, yeah, sure, conservatives, let's join your fucking coalition to convene to amend the Constitution to be even worse than it is now. Oh, you're a finance geek having 7 credit cards. I see. Yeah. I wish that I knew what you know. It seems like it's a tricky system, like trying to build credit and everything. Yeah, they want a new constitution, basically. So, between like an elected representative openly calling herself a Christian nationalist and Ted Cruz saying that he thinks it's a mistake for the Supreme Court to have made their judgment on gay marriage, and many states passing anti-trans healthcare resolutions, and I feel like you could just and forever at this point in American history. In Oregon, I worked with the Habitat for Humanity. That's cool. I think it would be cool to work with Habitat for Humanity. But that's manual labor. I mean, maybe it's not all manual labor. I think of Habitat for Humanity and I imagine like people going to build houses. And I'm like, wow, I really respect how difficult that work is. Especially because aren't a lot of the people who work with Habitat for Humanity just volunteers? Well, I'm glad someone's Christian mother is scared of a Christian theocracy. She's pretty scarred by church, even if she likes her Jesus spirituality. I was talking to my doctor earlier today, and we got to like bitching about religion a little bit, and I was telling him like, no, I don't want Christianity to become more progressive and like gay friendly, because I want people to continue leaving the church. Like, I think a lot of people leave the church over the kind of cognitive dissonance toward gay people. Like, if you listen to Rhett and Link's podcast, Ear Biscuits, where they talk about their deconversions, like a big part of it for them, like the day described, was being friends with What the Buck. If anybody remembers What the Buck from back in the day, he's a gay dude, and they were like describing having difficulty being just friends with him and loving him as like a person in their lives while also holding their shitty beliefs, and it fucking made them leave the church. Like, that was one of the things that made them leave the church. So yes, I don't want Christianity to become more progressive. I want people to leave the church. Oh god, they want to get rid of no-fault divorce. Are there places in the US that don't have no-fault? There must be places in the US that don't have no-fault divorce, right? Hi, baby. There's a plastic bag on the floor, and if there's a plastic bag on the floor, you know the cat is on top of it making noises. True. They're building multifamily units here. That's cool. I used to volunteer at the Restore, which is a Habitat for Humanity store. That's neat. What do they sell at the Habitat for Humanity store? Excuse me. Oh my gosh. My boyfriend just got his treaty status card. I don't know what that is, but I'm psyched for your boyfriend. I agree, Jamie Hopkins. Travel between the states shouldn't be so difficult. Creating more and more barriers to travel between states, like making it to where like your state ID is no longer good enough for you to get on an airplane even within your own country. You have to pay more money to have a federal ID. Pulling people over who are traveling over state lines because it's a woman with her teenage daughter, which is happening increasingly now. Like, restrictions on your ability to travel are fascist. It's just getting... It's like, it's creeping up on you. You know, the security theater has been slowly creeping up on us, and we just gradually have actually materially less and less rights. Like, even if it's still technically enshrined in the Constitution, or based on a Supreme Court house of cards stacked on each other bullshit the way that we're currently doing now, like, the Supreme Court has basically enshrined a lot of the rights that we consider to be kind of normal, as far as, you know, like privacy rights and shit like that. But yeah, it's just... It's been chipped away since the fucking Patriot Act, which was when I was a child. And it's wild to see how much of the security erosion we have today is like, can be traced directly back to the Patriot Act. Not that it hadn't started before that, but obviously 9/11 was a huge excuse to compromise the right to privacy of everyone, basically. Obviously not everyone is targeted equally, but... still not good. Good night, Timerinia. Have a good night. Has been nice to chill with you. I will be traveling to Iowa in the future, and they won't need the real ID until 2024. Interesting. I think it matters, like, where you are when you get on the plane. So maybe the states are going to roll out different requirements at different times. I remember going to the airport before 9/11. I was 7 years old when 9/11 happened, so I might have been on a plane before that, but I don't really remember. I think the last time I was on an airplane was when I was 11, and I'm now 28, so that was a while ago. Oh my gosh. I've basically been like, I'm in the Midwest, and everywhere that I have previously wanted to go was well within the purview of a road trip. And here's the thing about Midwesterners. I have laughter from the peanut gallery over here. If it's like within 20 hours, we're like, that's not a big deal. Like, I'll drive that in one go, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm sitting there looking at that 27-hour drive to Washington going like, but maybe, you know, there's still part of me that's like, would I spend 2 days driving to Washington? Yeah, true, Baphomet. This massive global event happened, and I wasn't even cognizant of it until I was 7 or 8. I don't really remember clearly, like, being very aware of what was happening at 9/11 time, but I do specifically remember around that time going to Applebee's with my mom and my dad, which is weird. Why the fuck were we at a restaurant together? My parents had been divorced for like 7 years at that point. But I had like, you know, the crayons and the thing that you can draw on and everything. And like, I can remember drawing two towers and an airplane, and my mom like made a big deal out of it. That's why I remember it, because she was like, oh my God, look at this. Like, isn't that incredible? Like this child processing a national tragedy by drawing it like on their crayons. Like, she made a big deal out of it, and that's why I remember it. So like, I guess there was enough information around for me to know that. Is my car comfy to sleep in? No. I have a Honda Civic. Not that I wouldn't sleep in my car. I keep saying like, I'm glad that I own my car, because worst case scenario, like if everybody I know dies, I have a place to sleep. I'm not saying it would be comfortable. I'm just saying that there is a place for me to sleep if everything in my life just goes nuclear. It's fun to say nuclear wrong on purpose. My relatives in Massachusetts do not have real ID. It's a weird thing about living in the US, where state laws being different place to place means like, I don't know, like, do you want to purchase a gun, but you're also planning on like moving to a different state later? Well, you have to know about the laws in both of those places. Here's another fucked up thing. Like, I didn't realize that I've been just on this page for a long time, just staring at chat on the screen. I think the fact that accrediting being so like different from one place to the next is really fucked up. Like, I was, you know, training to become an electrician, learning what I needed to learn in order to be an electrician, and it would have required 2 years on the job here in Kansas for me to get my journeyman license, which means like you can work more independently. You can have people under you. As an apprentice, you're required to have a journeyman or master electrician above you checking the work that you're doing, right? If I lived in Kansas for 2 years and got my journeyman license, and then I moved to Washington, guess what? It's 4 fucking years in Washington. So I could be a journeyman electrician in Kansas and then move to Washington and then be reverted back to an apprentice for the next 2 years. Yes, I have a bottle opener in my hand because I opened my beer earlier and I just like to fidget with stuff. But yeah, I get frustrated. The concept of going on a long road trip is mostly foreign to me because I've never had a car that I felt confident about going on any sort of long distance trip in. That's fair. Like, my car is in pretty good condition, but the longest trip we've been on in it is like to Chicago or the Chicago area. Sometimes we go to Minnesota. Sometimes we go to Chicago area. I think that's the furthest I've been. At one point, I was considering making a trip to Austin for a convention. That would have been like a 13-hour drive. Do you want to be president? No, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. Listen, I don't want to be the head of a government that I don't really believe in its legitimacy? Question mark. Yes, Anansi, you missed the beginning of stream. Right up at the top of the beginning of stream, we talked about Kansas winning the vote. I'm very excited that we won that vote, and I think it would be fucking hilarious if from now on Kansas was just a purple or blue state, because so many people turned out for that vote. Just to reiterate the stats from earlier, like 919,000 people turned out and voted for that amendment, right? And 577,000 of those people voted in favor, against the amendment, so in favor of abortion. So an 18-point lead, like 59% versus 41% voting against abortion rights, you know? Yeah, exactly. That was literally my first thought, Baphomet. Becoming president sounds like a great idea if your goal is to age a century in about 4 years' time. My very first fucking thought when Kenneth asked, do you want to be president, was I was like, you know how Obama had like black hair when he first got the job? And then at the end, he did not have black hair anymore, you know? What do you mean you don't believe in it? So I have kind of recently realized that I think that states as they currently exist are mostly oriented around their own self-sufficiency. Like, if the government was like working really poorly for the people, for example, and you tried to change the government fundamentally so that it would work for the people, the government is going to resist your attempts to change it to work better for the people. So a government exists mostly for its own self-propagation, and not actually in any kind of service to the people. And like, I was born here, but I didn't consent to be governed. And also, like, I was born here, and the country that I live in is like kind of resoundingly declaring that I don't deserve to have equal rights in like multiple different ways. And like many politicians are making it clear that they think that I am like kind of fundamentally betraying America. Actually, there was that one guy who explicitly said that he thought that trans people and gay people were treasonous and trying to undermine America with their degenerate behavior. So like, I didn't consent to be here, and this government has decided that I shouldn't even exist. So like, yeah, I don't really know that I really believe in the legitimacy of the US government or of any government. Like, I don't know anymore. I think this is when you accidentally look around and realize that you've just become an anarchist without without meaning to, you know? Like, I think that just spontaneously happened to me this year. That guy was right about me though. Yeah. They could have rigged the voting machine. True, Grady HD. Obama looked 25 when he took office and then 70 when he left office. Like, to be fair, he's like, you know, it's like that age. If you're like 40 or 50, you're gonna lose the color in your hair anyway. Like, I get that too. You weren't an anarchist before. I've been like broadly a leftist for a long time. But it really was only like this year, within the past year or so, that I've been like, oh no, I think actually that the whole concept of a government is maybe not good. I've basically previously been like, I'm a like socialist leftist kind of person who thinks that like the structure of a state is still really important. And to be fair, I don't know how to do things differently now. Like, this is the very typical anarchist thing where like you say that you're an anarchist and then people are like, well, how do you do supply chains? And it's like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. Like, but would you, person who is asking me that, would you have been able to invent all of the bullshit that you think make fucking capitalism work? You know, like, would you have independently invented credit scores? You know, like, I don't have to have all the answers. We just have to be open to a dialogue. I consider myself a gender anarchist. True, based. Yeah, Kenneth, I do kind of want to move out of the US. I mean, like, it's not that I want to move out of the US. I don't have a choice about moving out of the US. Like, yes, I live in a state that just affirmed the right to abortion, but I don't have any faith that they're not going to try to pass a federal amendment or like any kind of federal legislation to make abortion illegal federally, you know? So then it doesn't matter where I live, what state I live in. If they make a federal law, there's nothing I can do. And I know better at this point than to think it's not gonna fucking happen. I'm too intelligent to think, oh, it couldn't possibly happen here. No, bitch, it's gonna happen. Like, I would bet that a federal abortion ban is gonna pass before 2024. Like, I'll put fucking money on the table. I've done this bit before. I love this joke. I'll put fucking money on the table that a federal ban on abortion will pass before the end of 2023. I've got money on that. $1 on the table. I've probably been an anarchist since before I knew the term. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a recent thing. Because I think there's sort of a reluctance to say, yeah, we should get rid of states if you don't have like a firm idea of what should happen afterwards. How about Sweden? So I don't want to move to Europe yet. I think Canada is a good first step. This is what when I was talking earlier about like when I mentioned, oh, I own my car, at least I have my car. If I go to Canada, I can keep my car. And then I still have a place to sleep in the worst case scenario. But I'm not going to pay to have my car taken to Europe. Although I think eventually it would be cool to live somewhere in Europe, because I think ultimately it would be cool to live somewhere in like a walkable city. But like Seattle is a walkable city in some areas, and like Vancouver is a walkable city in some areas. So I could potentially have the things that I would access in a European country somewhere closer. You know, socialized medicine is another thing. Gender anarchist actually sounds rad. True. Yeah, I'm not a gender abolitionist. I'm a gender anarchist. I'm more of a gender communist. True. I used to tell people I could see slavery being brought back. They used to think I was joking. I mean, slavery is legal for the punishment of a crime. So really, it kind of never stopped. They just changed tactics. They're like, oh, we're still over policing black people. So it's still mostly black people in the prison systems doing this slave labor. Doze pointed that out to me. When someone asks you about every facet of your anarchist collective, how it would function, they're pretty much never able to explain how the same systems currently operate under capitalism. Yeah, it's like, how do you think that things work now? You don't even understand how shit works now. No, I know you meant real full chattel slavery. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't disagree with you. I think that they fully want slavery to come back. I said that, like, I was editing that video about Alabama's no right to transition lawsuit, and I said that at the end of that segment. Like, they just want slavery back, which is fucked up. I can't go to protests because I will just, like, if I see a cop like trying to fuck up and like brutalize some person of color, like, I cannot trust myself to not respond in some horrendously violent way. Oh my God. I'm so glad that I'm from where I'm from, that I like grew up around a lot of people of color so that I can be like not racist. Like, I don't know. It's good night, Sisukara. Storm here, so we'll get going. Ooh, I'm jealous of your storm. I mean, only a little bit. We had a storm yesterday and it didn't go well for me. The lightning happened like directly above the building and it shut my computer off. It was kind of scary. Consider gender authoritarianism. Everyone must be trans. True. No, I've never been in a fight, Kenneth. I don't know if I could kick anyone's ass. Just need enough people to join you in unarresting people. That's not really what I meant. I was not really talking about unarresting. I think it would be Fed posting to describe, like, you know, when you have a shiv, you know? I don't know. I feel like gender anarchy is probably a better way of describing what gender abolitionism actually means in practice. It's the deinstitutionalizing of all gender, the removal of gender reinforcement from spaces, and the absence of gender from our legal documentation. That's cool. I could see that. Like, yeah, we should call ourselves gender anarchists. That sounds like a lot of fun. I only just updated my Twitter bio, and now I'm like, I should add gender anarchist to my bio. But then that would be like 4 things in my bio that reference my being trans. It amazes that anyone has never been in a fight. I can honestly say that I've been in so many that I've lost count. Yeah, I've never been in a fight before. I'm not sure how I would respond. You know? I don't think we should have gendered bathrooms or gender on IDs and birth certificates, or have anyone be able to enforce gender upon us. I think people who are gender abolitionists, like, you know, Vosh will call himself a gender abolitionist, but then TERFs also call themselves that. When TERFs call themselves gender abolitionists, they mean I want to reduce you down to your biological sex and pretend like there is nothing about your personality that matters, you know? So I think that if we say gender anarchy, then that's much, much better. But no, I literally just changed my Twitter bio, and it currently says, like, here's my Twitter bio right now. YouTube streamer, transmasculine femboy, non-binary transsexual, leftist, dragon, trans rights, fuck racism, workers of the world unite. I really want to put gender anarchist in there, but then that would be 4 things in there to reference being trans. Oh. They accuse me of having nothing else going on, and I cannot even argue. IDK, what counts as a fight? Yeah. I came close one time to getting into an open physical altercation with my mother. Like, my mother was physically abusive. I guess content warning for that. Not going to go into any detail, but she, you know, she was physically abusive, and so I've been on like the one-sided view of that. But then once I got to be like about the same height as her, like there was one time where I was just like, I'm leaving your house. I was on visitation on like a Wednesday night, and she was pissing me off, and I was like, I'm just gonna walk home. And I went to leave, and she grabbed my wrist, and I turned around and I was like, you will let me go. And I would have gone into a fight with her if she hadn't let me go. I'm pretty sure that I would have, like, at the minimum, I would have done like one of the like rip your hand away shit that I had learned in karate, if not have a full-blown like physical altercation with her. But she let me go, is the thing. Because here's the thing about abusers. Abusers sometimes just like fucking lose their shit and cow when you step up to the plate, you know? Like when you suddenly realize that the child that you've been abusing is now the same height as you or a little bit taller than you. And you're like, maybe this will not go so well for me, you know? Anyway, I'm getting a little bit, I can tell I'm getting a little bit agitated discussing my traumatic past. Oh my gosh. It's fine. My PTSD is cured. It's actually weird how much different it is talking about my mom and my past with her now that I have cured my PTSD through prolonged exposure therapy. I'm not allowed to spam Smuggy. Did you get caught? Oh, you just can't say the same thing twice in a row. So you can't spam an emoji by yourself, unfortunately. You can't send the same message twice in a row. Yeah, exactly, Silent. Just in time for your traumatic future. Like, literally, when I meet with my therapist next week, I'm going to be like, listen, Karen, like, I need you to teach me how to process traumatic events as they're happening, because I don't want to redevelop PTSD. So I'm going to have to, like, I really want her to, like, help me with that. Like, what do you do when you're currently living through multiple traumatic events? Enough about my traumatic past. Let's discuss my traumatic future. Oh my god. Yeah. I'm really like trying not to have a traumatic future is the thing. That's the thing about wanting to get the fuck out of this country, or at least wanting to get to a place that's like safer. Excuse me. I should do like some street view. Like I should just like walk through some areas of Seattle on my Google Maps or Google Earth or something to get an idea of what it's like to physically be there. Because there is a part of me that's like, I really should visit before I go there. But then I'm like, my partner was like, I don't think we're going to be able to afford to move to another state at the end of our lease in like 6 or 7 months. And I was like, I don't know that I consider it optional. Like I'm sitting here like, I'll start a fucking GoFundMe if I need to. Like, I don't know that I feel that it's optional. But I also wonder if I am, I don't know. I'm only just now wondering if I'm too gung-ho about this. Like, would it be so bad if we resumed our lease here and we didn't have the ability to move to a better state until the beginning of the year in 2024? And I think about that and it makes me want to rip my skin off. Like, I I can't imagine still being here in Kansas in 2024. Like, I don't think I can do that. Like, there is like a deep and wild like survival instinct that's telling me like I gotta get the fuck out of here. But I also have no idea if it's gonna be tenable. I have no idea if it's gonna be within our means to do that. I get angry sometimes thinking of the past. However, I feel much better and I'm not getting as angry as I used to get, mellowing with age, I guess. I think that, yeah, it helps. I'm right there in planning to move when I don't think it's in the financial cards. Seriously, I'm sitting here thinking like, what do I want to take with me to start a new life in a new country after I'm like a political refugee? I'm like, I'll sell everything I fucking own, you know? Like, it doesn't matter. If you want to stream that to me, I can show you spots I've been to. Ooh. I know that Silent, you've mentioned a couple of hiking trails and stuff. Speaking of physical violence, when I lived in Alabama in gendered dorm houses, the boys' house attacked ours with water guns in a water war we had not consented to. We'd spent the past day being stressed the water war would come to our house. So when they burst through the door, we were all eating stuffed acorn squash my housemate had cooked. I got so angry. I got up and I shoved one of the boys out of the doorway and ripped the super soaker out of his hands. I drop kicked another who fell backwards over the banister into a bush, and the rest of them freaked out and fled as I stood on the porch screaming at them. Oh my God, Dizzy, that is intense. I'd say any and all trans people, unless they're in a very queer-friendly city and have a great local support system and the resources to get out immediately if necessary, get out of red states before 2024. That's, I mean, honestly, like, I don't think I have, I mean, I feel like the area that I'm in is relatively progressive, you know? There, like, within Kansas, there are a couple of relatively progressive areas, but it does not take you don't have to go far before you're dealing with people from the country, dealing with tradesmen and stuff like that, like rough Republicans. We're surrounded by them. Like, if you live in a blue dot in Kansas, you are surrounded by a red sea, and it's stressful. And yeah, so like, I don't have a great local support system. Like, most of the people that I know are people that my husband knew from high school, and I wouldn't have the resources to just get out immediately if necessary. Part of me wants to stay where I am because I live nearby a quite lefty part of Tennessee, and I'd like to be part of a support network for local trans people, but at the same time, for my own happiness and safety, I'd rather live in PNW. Yeah, listen, like, y'all know Merrick DeVille. I don't know if any of you all are familiar with Merrick DeVille, but I like her a lot. She's a leftist sex worker and streamer. She was saying like she loves Texas and she doesn't want to leave Texas, and she's not gonna leave Texas. She was like, I will go to jail before I give up on Texas. And I can't do that. Like, I can't risk going to jail. Like, I cannot risk being that involved in the carceral system. You know, I think I've mentioned this on stream recently, but I am not going to deal with a situation where they pull out my ID and see that it says male, but then they grope me and find out that I have tits, and then they can't decide where to put me, or they're like, or they think that I'm a trans woman, so they put me in with the men, and I get like, and they point out that I'm trans, and then I get raped by a prisoner in there, or like, I don't know if they would put me with the women, or if the police would brutalize or rape me. Like, I just can't risk that. So more power to you. If you're cis and you're white and you live in a place where you want to stay there and make it a better place, like, please do. If you want to live in Kansas and stay there, that's great. I'm happy that I contributed to this place being more progressive. Like, I'm happy that when I voted against this abortion restriction amendment, that we succeeded together. I'm glad that I contributed to that. That does not mean that I'm willing to stay here, you know? Living in downstate Illinois is rough. I want to move to somewhere more amenable. At least you have legal weed in Illinois. I street viewed areas in DC for a Werewolf the Apocalypse game set there. Probably cut on a list for it. Oh no. Madison was super queer, but it didn't take much driving to get to places where I didn't feel comfortable using the restroom, and there were a few small towns we drove through where we very much didn't want to have to stop. Exactly. I don't want to live in a country where there are like, you know how it's like, oh, I don't necessarily want to put an X on my passport because then there are some places where I would go there and they would immediately be shitty to me because of the X on my passport. Like, I'm not going to go to a country where that would be an issue. Similarly, I think it's fucked up that I live in a country where there are places in the country that I live where I couldn't go and feel safe, you know, as a person with a vagina, as a trans person. Take your pick. You know, I'm glad I'm white. I've got that going for me at least. Thank God for that, I guess. You would end up with the women if you are AFAB regardless in VA. But how the fuck do they know? The thing is, Mersh, like, if I get arrested, how do they know that I'm assigned female? Even if they grope me in my genitals and find that I have a vagina, they could assume that because my ID says male, that I am a post-op trans woman and throw me in with the men. Like, I don't know. You could end up in special population if you look very masculine. Yeah, like solitary confinement. Like, I feel like if I went to prison... or not prison, if I went to jail for like getting arrested at a protest or something, like I would be probably like the safest thing would be in solitary, right? They go by genitals. Okay. Well, that's good, I guess. I feel you about everything you said about the blue dot being stressful. I'm from Connecticut. We aren't bad here. Yeah, you live in like Connecticut. That's, you know, it's pretty solid. Ooh, might be moving back to Colorado soonish. Colorado is pretty decent. My sister lives there, and as long as I can make some income, I might be able to live with my sister. That would be cool. Yeah. They have people stripped during check-in and processing with incarceration stuff. Like, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with having the male on my license, on my ID, and then being stripped naked. Like, not that stripping naked is not a bad thing in and of itself when you're dealing with state agents and shit, but... solitary as hell for trans people. That's almost a death sentence. I would be way better off in solitary than I would be in a situation where I was potentially subject to assault or rape. Just me personally. Really, Creature of the Fae, you're so glad I moved away from Colorado and back to Texas? Yeah, it would not be a fun situation. Well, I ended up getting through all the items that I wanted to talk about today, except for the MS Paint stream, which is going to be... I decided that explaining why it doesn't make sense to call trans women male, like we were explaining it... Oh, you're mad. Sorry, you're mad I moved away. Mad I moved away from Colorado back to Texas. I misread it. Sorry. But yeah, when we do our paint stream, it's going to be because someone in the Discord server was asking, like, why would you not call, like, you know, what is the distinction? I thought that men and women was a social role and male and female was a biological thing. And then I explained all the biological shit. So I thought it would make a really good paint stream. And I want to do that. But, like, probably on Sunday when we... I mean, honestly, I said, like, when we have more people. We have 36 people in here. This is, like, a pretty decent regular day stream for us. This is pretty good shit. I enjoy it. I just barely got out of being molested by a TSA agent before another TSA agent told her to scan me as female. I was just reading someone on Twitter talking about that. Was that you, Baphomet? No, I don't think it was you. Someone was talking about being, like, really embarrassed because the TSA agent was like, oh, do you have something there? And, like, pointed directly at her crotch and, like, everybody could hear it. Yeah, sorry, Creature of the Fae. Yeah, Creature of the Fae moved away from Colorado to Texas, and they are mad about it. Praying for the day my state changes the laws around changing the sex marker on birth certificates. The laws were recently changed because someone wanted to change theirs to X, but the governor said fuck no, and now no one can. Oh shit, like you used to be able to change it, but you can't change it at all now? That's fucked up. Kansas made it legal to change the sex on your birth certificate, but there's no option for X, so I still haven't amended my birth certificate because I wasn't born male, and I am not male currently. I only put male on my license because I was like, there's only that option, and I don't want it to be saying F, so I will be making all my documents say X. When I get this passport, I'm going to have it say X. So it's actually going to be fucked up. I'm going to have a birth certificate that says female. I'm going to have a state ID that says male. And then my passport is going to say X, which I guess is appropriate. I hope it's not similarly miserable for men who have phallo implants, but I imagine it might be. If you have a dick and D-cup titties, you will go through hell getting through TSA security. Well, the thing is, Baphomet, that for the most part, I don't actually know that I have heard of a single... I want to ask this in my bottom surgery groups now. I don't know if there are any people I've ever known of who have phallo without first having top surgery. I am not sure if I've ever met someone who had that, because most of the time insurance requires you to have already gotten top surgery in order to get bottom surgery, which is fucking weird. Like, I don't know why, but it is a requirement in a lot of places for that. So I really doubt that there are many men with a phallo implant and also big honkin' titties. I was pretty fortunate getting through TSA with a gawk and C-cup titties. Illinois technically lets you choose X, but the machinery to do it is outdated and archaic. The reason why I picked up the paperwork to fill out a passport form is because it said online, it was like, oh, our system hasn't updated, so if you want to put an X on there, you need to get the paperwork and fill it out physically on the paperwork. So that's why I did that. My planned move is away from a purple dot on the edge of a red state. The blue state we border has my spouse's abuser living in it, to a bright blue dot in the middle of a red state with some support system just outside the city. Likely we will have to live outside the city for financial reasons. Yeah, like even when I'm like, I want to move to Washington, I'm like, I want to live close enough to Seattle to be able to easily visit and see my friends. Like, I don't want to have to drive an hour to get to Seattle. That sounds really shitty. Would that, if I lived an hour away from Seattle, would that be all the way on the opposite side of the mountains? Like, I want to live in a place where I can access community. Oh shit. But like, I don't think I'll be able to live like really, really in the city because of it being really expensive. But I don't have any idea if there is even outside the city. I don't know if there's going to be any reasonable rentals. I'm going to have to like keep an eye on that market for a while and see what the general vibes are like. Move to Washington. Insurance is not allowed to discriminate against trans healthcare. If the insurance rejects covering your phallo, your doctor should be able to file prior auth and force the insurance to accept it. That's great. I don't have insurance, and I probably never will. Because there's like, I can't afford insurance. Although I guess in Washington, the rules about public insurance might be different, which would be kind of cool. Because here's the thing, in Kansas, you can't get Medicaid unless you're disabled. So I can't get Medicaid. Or I guess if you have children, you can also access Medicaid. But I don't have children, and I'm not legally disabled. I mean, I am disabled, but I'm not legally disabled. So, Apple Health. I looked at Seattle, not in the numbers for me. I know, it's not in the numbers for me either. I'm like, listen, you know how this thing up above my head says, like, it's asking for $900 for 1 month of... I have never hit that monthly goal, first of all. Second of all, the only reason that is able to be as low as it is because I live in the Midwest. You know? And, like, I'm still kind of falling short. I'm falling short of my monthly goals. Like, in order for me to be able to actually afford living there with the expectations that my partner has for how we distribute our financial responsibilities, like, it would need to be significantly, significantly, significantly higher in order to afford, like, a place to live there. My rent alone is $1,100 a month. Yeah. I have Apple Health, and I've never paid a cent for anything healthcare-wise, including dentistry. That's cool. Okay, so if I lived in Washington, I would at least have, like, decent healthcare access. Assuming well, the thing is that I'm married, And even though my partner and I keep our finances separate, like we still file as a married couple and our taxes at the end of the year. So I don't actually qualify for any reduced cost shit. So, well, it depends. Sometimes, like if combined, if our income still falls within that bracket, then I can apply. But like I don't. You can also look into renting a house with a bunch of other people. Dizzy, I could only do that if I were moving alone. Because my partner and I, like, have never had roommates, and I don't know if that's something, like, if you've never had roommates and you're, like, 13 years into being in a marriage and, like, living together and stuff, I don't know if you can really easily transition to, like, having a bunch of roommates. I was only looking at houses, though. When I was looking at how expensive it was to live in Washington, I was only looking at houses because my partner and I don't have enough space for all of our shit and we need a garage, you know? But if we were moving into an apartment, maybe it would be more feasible. But like, you know, the cheapest housing rentals is like, $2,400 a month, which is triple what we pay now. We pay now like 800 something a month for a decent sized apartment, you know? So that would be difficult. Look at apartments first, then change to house after or something. Yeah. I would just have to convince my partner to actually like maybe not keep all of the random wood scraps that he keeps around, you know? That's what I mean. Like we just view things very differently. I don't think that he is in the mindset of like, we are going to be political refugees and need to think about like, you know, getting rid of things in order to start a life in a new country. You know, like what do you, like every single thing that we own that we're planning on keeping with us, like we're paying for square footage in the U-Haul for that object. Some apartments have garages. Oh, that's interesting. Some apartments have garages and, looking into Section 8, we have a decent-ish amount of low-income housing south of Seattle. Yeah, Silent, when I was just looking on Zillow, and I was just looking at that entire area. Like there were some rentals way up in Everett, which is north, and you know, like Tacoma and Seattle and Everett are. It kind of seems like it's all like sort of blended into one metropolitan area. I mean, based on the maps, at least, it seems like it's all kind of a connected city system. So I was looking at just like that entire area. It's tough. I'm also like, well, how far away from my friends am I gonna live, you know? Like how long does it actually take to drive from Everett down to Seattle? That's like some stuff that I'm looking at as well. There's tons of sprawl north and south of Seattle all the way down to Olympia. There were a couple houses for rent like across what do you call the entirety of that water there? You've got like, you know, you've got like the Seattle and then like Puget Sound, and then there's like all this water, and then there's like on the west side, you would have to take a ferry to get across there probably. So Medicaid is only for disabled in Kansas. Yeah. Do you just refer to the whole thing as any one, like the Salish Sea? Because I know that there's little bits. They're called different stuff, the little bits. Is that what you would call the whole thing, Salish Sea? That's cool. But yeah, I kind of just did a Zillow search of that entire area, and if it's about an hour from Tacoma to Seattle and about 45 minutes from Everett to Seattle, then I kind of have an idea of how big that area is now. And yeah, I don't want to live too crazy far away. Like seriously, I want to be able to experience the social things that exist in Seattle, and you know, like I don't have community here. If I'm going to drive to another state, like I want this to be the time in my life where I start establishing community. I think some part of me has always known that I'm probably not going to stay in this part of the country, so I have never established long-term friendships here. I don't have any long-term friendships in Seattle yet, but that's where I'm like, I want to start establishing those things. I'm not far from Seattle, a couple hours drive at most. I just don't want that to be, I don't want to be like 2 hours away. That's too long. Like, my parents live an hour and a half away. My parents and my trans brother and my other sibling, younger sister, they live an hour and a half away, and I very rarely see them because an hour and a half is a fucking ridiculous drive to just do casually. Like, yeah, a road trip, I'll do a 13-hour road trip, whatever, not a big deal. But like, as far as like shit that I want to do on my regular basis, God, I don't want to have to drive an hour and a half to get to see my friends. Like, it needs to be easier than that. The Puget Sound is the southern branch of the Salish Sea that extends into Washington. The Strait of Georgia is the north branch that extends into Canada. The Strait of Juan de Fuca is the connection between the two that extends into the Pacific Ocean. Okay, I was just asking about, like, literally, like, you know, Seattle is on this, like, coast, and then there's, like, you can take some ferries and go across just this little, like, this little area where there's a lot of, like, hold on. Try to describe. Nice and zoomed in from when I was looking at this last. So I was just wondering, like, if there is a name for this, just this generally, this part, and all of this little bullshit. Is there a name for this whole thing altogether? Because, yeah, I was looking on Zillow at this, and I was like, okay, so Seattle is, like, here, like, Elliott Bay, Puget Sound, you know, and then, like, okay, so there was like one house for rent in Everett, and I was looking at some, I don't think I looked at very many rentals down in Tacoma. I guess I was mostly looking around, like, this general area, and then I looked over here, like Seebeck and Silverdale, like, oh, there's some places over there to rent. But then, like, there's this, like, mountain range here. Like, honestly, I think my partner would prefer to live somewhere out here this way, but that sounds like a fucking nightmare to me. That sounds terrible. I want to live over here somewhere, just somewhere in this general area. Anyway. Did you look at Puyallup? No, I don't know. Nobody lives up there. You don't want to live in the goddamn pass. So the whole thing is just the sound? No, I don't mean the peninsula. I mean the water. I want to know what the name is for all of this, like, all of this water area, basically. Is the whole thing the sound? I cannot hear the name Puget Sound without leaping to Owl City. I'll crawl the sandy bottom of Puget Sound and construct a summer home. That's a song called Hello Seattle by Owl City. It snows like fucking hell. Puyallup? Yeah, I don't know where Puyallup is. I've never heard of that. I've literally never been further south than Colorado. The water there is all the sound, but the specific areas have names. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's what I thought. I knew that all the specific areas have names, like this lake and this area, but all together it's the sound. That's cool. Okay, that's good to know. See, I need to get my cultural brush-ups before I go there. You could look at Auburn. Where's Auburn? Oh, I see where Auburn is. Auburn is kind of halfway between Seattle and Tacoma. I see. Yeah. But yeah, my partner has this idea that it's like, he doesn't want to live in a huge city. And, like, I get it. I don't want to live in a huge city either. But I don't think that that's what Seattle actually is. Or at least not all of it. Good night, Jamie. Oh, gosh, Grady HD. Listen, if you are on a fixed income like disability, don't worry about tipping me. It's called that because that's where sounding was invented. Oh, my God. Oh, okay, I see. I see where you're referring to here. Like, is that... So this would be about an hour away from Seattle proper? Yeah. This is part of why I'm like I don't know if I'm gonna even have a frame of reference for where I want to live up there if I were not to visit and like drive around a little bit. I don't know. The parts of Seattle that are in your budget are not gonna feel like you're in a big city. That's fair. I still don't know if any of it's within my budget. Help the channel grow. Listen, I only have 6 months. I only have 6 months left before I need to have like $2,000 a month income. Sounding in the sound. It's not solid urban sprawl. There's lots of green, a lot of suburbs. That's cool. The Auburn Valley is actually farmlandy, cattle and horses and shit. Well, that'll be familiar. Maybe try to find an Airbnb near your potential place. Yeah, Decoy Duck, I could find an Airbnb, but the problem, like, we were talking about this earlier in the stream, because I was talking to Silent a few days ago about, like, the logistics of making a trip up there. And I think even making the trip up there would be, like, I think the best case scenario is that I get a one-way ticket to Washington for about $150. And then if I'm really fucking lucky, get another one-way ticket back to where I live now for $150. Like, bare minimum, that's a trip that's going to cost $300. And if I'm trying to save up to move there, I need that $300 to save, you know? That's really, like, and that's not even counting, like, having a place to stay when I live there, eating while I live there, or, like, staying there, like, having a place to sleep while I stay there, or eating while I stay there. Like, I would love to make the trip, but I really don't see any way for me to do it reasonably. I will happily talk to you offline and give you the locals tour because I fucking love talking about this area. I'll take it, you know? I'll take it. Do I get to make a meme about how lefty streamers with white leaf platforms all live in Seattle? Please do. So yeah. It's kind of annoying that I can't just be like, I have decided that I want to move into this area. I have like this whole other adult who I live with who has to be on board with the decision. NBJ gonna head out. Got some stuff I want to watch before I go to bed. Or want to catch up on, not watch. Hell yeah. Enjoy. I've needed to pee for a little bit, but I'm like, if I get up to go pee, am I going to also like end the stream almost immediately? Or should I just get off the stream and go pee? Like, sometimes I end up with this problem about 3 hours in. I'm like, am I going to keep going or not? I'm kind of just talking about my own anxieties. Let me know whenabouts you're looking to visit. I'll talk to the others and see if you can crash. I mean, I really appreciate it. I feel very much like I would be taking advantage of an incipient friendship by doing that. I don't want to impose or have it. I don't want any of your housemates to be like, this person is trying to muscle their way into our friend group. Like, that sounds like not good, you know? And I have been thinking, I was like, when should I visit? There's part of me that feels like I need to do it like this month. And I'm like, that's fucking unreasonable. You're a psycho. But I'm like, I'm going to be busy in the entirety of September and October because I have a Renaissance Festival. And then in November, it's going to be cold. And then like in December, like it's going to be like Christmas. And it would be a huge imposition to try to travel then. And then like by the time it's January, I need to be most of the way done packing. Like I don't actually know that there is a good time for me to visit. You're getting to know a little bit of how like fucking, I'm not manic. I want to use the word manic to describe that series of thoughts, but tickets also cost more around the holidays. Literally earlier today, I was like, when is the best time of year to buy when is the best time to buy plane tickets? And it was just literally like, it was like, oh, August is a good time to buy tickets. Late October is a good time to buy tickets. That 2-week period between November, like the end of November and like the holiday season in December. So like the first 2 weeks of December are really good time to buy tickets. Apparently it's also best to buy plane tickets on a Sunday because they're cheaper on Sundays, which is very strange to me. So yeah, I literally was looking at what is the best like time of year to fly. It's like, I guess this month is a cheap month to fly. But I've not talked to my partner about this at all. I'm just sitting, I'm like manically, I'm just like, I need to at least visit. Like I need to go up there. I'm like, I'm desperate for connection with people too, so I'm like, I need to go, but also like it's a terrible fucking idea. My most expensive trip to Canada was also my shortest one because it happened around Christmas. Oh my god, 1,400 USD for the tickets, I think. That's a fucking nightmare scenario. I have nowhere and no one to visit right now. I know, Mersh, it's frustrating. Honestly, I'm really appreciative that like I was bitching on Twitter about how I don't have any friends, and Silent was like, I'll talk to you and be your friend. And I was like, okay. And now I have one person that I talk to. That's not my literal like husband. So yay, I'm glad I have a friend. It's good to have at least one friend. There's also me. True, Dizzy. Yes, you're right. I don't message with you as often as I should. I should start sending you more memes, Dizzy. Yes. I know, Mersh. I know. I'm very weird about my people. And I'm like, oh, I should message this person. I'm like, I should message this person. I don't have anything to fucking talk about a lot of the time. Like, I'm trying to avoid talking about certain things that I know I have been annoying about in previous situations. So I might run out of shit to talk about. You should also visit me when you come up. I'm a little kooky, but enjoy people. Honestly, I should just like the incentive to go on this trip is going to increase. Like, so many people up there are like, you should visit me, you should see me, you should come see me. If you want to talk to me at all, my DMs are open. It's earnestly not about not being interested in people. It's about like, I'm like, you know, I tend to have some repeating problems in my personal life, and I don't talk about my personal life in that context on stream. So you all don't really get to hear about like my personal dysfunction, and I have a tendency when I have a new close friend to like, I end up talking to them a lot about what's going on in my personal life and the difficulties that I'm having, but then I end up in those same patterns, and at a certain point I feel like I'm annoying and I'm just saying the same shit over and over, and like technically the solutions to my problems are fairly clear. They just sort of require me to take actions that I'm not willing to take. So yeah, that's a whole therapy problem. I'm pretty sure that's just autism. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to clue in a couple of people to what the fuck goes on in my personal life, because at this point I'm kind of just like floundering alone in it, which is also not good. I'm like, the politics are overwhelming, and also everything in my personal life is kind of always subject to weird shit. Yeah. It's good as a streamer to not talk about certain stuff, to not enable unhealthy parasocial relationships or unwanted advice. Yeah, that's true. And it's also like just embarrassing sometimes to have the same problems over and over again. But yeah, it's just tricky. Someone said something earlier that I wanted to read. On Xander Hall's first FNV stream, he said, the urge to end stream comes with the urge to pee, but when you pee and don't end stream, the urge to end stream leaves when you come back. I have the opposite experience. I think like, oh, I'm just going to go pee real quick and come back. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm actually bored and done with stream. But I think it's kind of like shitty to piss and then 10 minutes later quit stream. Like, it just seems like a bad time to leave you on like a 3-minute quiet break, you know? I have a few close friends who I vent to. Yeah, I need probably a couple people to talk to just get me some advice and to distribute the stress. Silent, tomorrow, if you're not busy, we should watch Star Wars. Also, I'm thinking about it right now, so I'm just going to say it right now. We should do that tomorrow because I'm not streaming tomorrow. Luxander is in my rotation for sharing generally euphoric updates. True. I do appreciate it. I like getting the selfies. I like getting the smuggy updates. I can't necessarily like hop on board and be like, hell yeah, I also had a smuggy update. But, you know, that's also something we've previously discussed on stream. Don't have anything going on tomorrow? Cool. Oh, dealing with chronic depression and anxiety and also pain. So like I'm not fazed by people having recurring problems. That's just fucking life. Fair enough. The problem that I run into is that I could probably like solve the problems relatively easily. I just am like conflict avoidant is what it comes down to at the end of the day. Like the same problems I've had for years could be solved by just being willing to engage in conflict, and that's the problem. Smuggy is canceled. True. I've had the same friend I used to text every day, and we hardly ever hung out even though we lived close. He moved in with me like 2 months ago, and I noticed I felt more lonely because we don't text now. Honestly, like there are some ways in which being in a long distance relationship might actually be more relationship contact than I currently have with my partner who lives with me. I mean, like obviously like we sleep in the same bed and we cuddle in bed, but like as far as having someone to talk to or do stuff with, like we do stuff with each other less now that we live with each other than when we were long distance. I have a friend like that. If you hate conflict because it's stressful, that's just a thing that makes it hard. Exactly. I'm like, I am not, yeah, I don't know. I should talk to you about this, Dizzy, like in some detail at some point. However, I am going to take the opportunity now. It's been 3.5 hours and my throat is dry, and I'm not going to stop talking enough to hydrate until I get off this fucking stream. So thank you for letting me bitch about my personal issues for a while. I appreciate that. This was not a very parasocial stream at all. It was very parasocial. Jesus. Finger guns. Beep, 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 beep. So yeah, I'm ready to go pee and wind down for bed. I'm super looking forward to seeing you all on Sunday. We're going to do the MS Paint stream on Sunday, all right? And Grady HD just started therapy today or this week, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Fuck yeah. I'm going to see my therapist next week, and fuck yeah. America, fuck yeah. Except not really America, fuck yeah. It's more like Canada, fuck yeah. Except not Canada, fuck yeah either because of the indigenous murders. Fuck baby, fuck yeah. I don't think I can get on board with fucking babies, Baphomet. I'm sorry. I mean, like, I'm not gonna yuck your yum, but I'll put a baby in a blender, right? That's a your dead baby joke. Like, how do you fit 28 babies in a briefcase? A blender, you know? I'm an H3 podcast viewer. It's a dumb meme. Oh, okay, I see. Dumb memes. True. Okay. You're all incredible. Between now and next stream, remember, do something to take care of yourself, okay? Take care of yourself. Sleep well. Drink the water. Hang out with your friends. Work on I just colored this. I didn't even design this. I just drew on it, and it still felt like an artistic endeavor, and I got done and my hands were all covered in Sharpie, and it made me feel like an artist. So just do something small to make yourself happy, okay? And I will see you on Sunday.